What it do, you number one podcast listeners? Brand new edition of the number one podcast in your headphones, and now the number one podcast in your visuals. Brand new, fancy edition of Prem Brulee. I am very excited to be joined by scouting extraordinaire, overall creative, one of the most creative dudes I've ever met, Thomas Lewis. Welcome, man.
Happy to be here in person for the first eyeball version of Prem Brulee.
I can't believe it. I got to give credit to you, man. You brought this idea to life. And
I figured out how good looking you were, and I thought we needed to capitalize on it.
Thank you,
That's
man.
really what it came down to.
Tell your friends, baby.
Yeah, tell everyone you know. He's better looking than he sounds, guys.
Wow.
And you need to see it.
And you're like, yeah, because his voice is ugly as hell.
His voice
so
sounds
it's
rough.
not hard to do.
Yeah,
It's not hard to do. The NFL Draft Preview Edition is here. You know I always have Thomas on, and in this edition, we have visuals with it. So we spared no expense for you number one podcast listeners, just for you all.
8-hour drive.
Hell yeah.
8-hour drive to be here.
This man does not live close.
It's
so
called friendship.
It
okay,
is
guys,
friendship.
Look it up. Step up for your friends.
Step up. That's too much sense before too much sense.
Yeah, there we go.
But anyway, without further ado, we have a lot to cover on our NFL Draft Preview Edition. I got questions from the number one podcast listeners, just like we've done in the past, and I have some for you, Thomas. So, number one podcast listeners, the NFL Draft is fast approaching. As you all know, it's a 3-day affair, but it starts and kicks off with round 1 on Thursday, April 24th, and continues with rounds 2 and 3 on the 25th on Friday, and the last rounds 4 through 7, are on Saturday, April 26th. It takes place in Green Bay, Wisconsin this year.
Shitty place.
Yeah.
Is it outdoors? Do we know?
I think so. It's like around the stadium. It's crazy because I haven't been there, but I know it's in the middle of a neighborhood. So
yeah, you know what they say, when you can go to Green Bay, Wisconsin in late April, you have to seize the opportunity.
Now, aesthetically, I did, by the way, love. I think this year the NFL debuted a special version of their logo that has to do with the city they're in.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, and the hats are cool too.
And that's kind of cool. They need to take a page out of their own book in that and get back to that with the Super Bowl logos.
Although
I think
the Bengals one, by the way, did you see the hats with the pins? The Bengals pin is the throne from an Instagram post. So Cincinnati's so boring that the most interesting thing they have about it is an Instagram post.
That's tough, Cincy.
It's a bad look.
Yeah. That's a tough one for you guys. Tough look. New this year, though, this is the first time it's happened in the modern draft era. Every team at this point has a first-round pick in the draft.
Really?
Yes. All 32 teams have a pick.
It's probably just the Rams holding it back.
Yeah,
quite often.
no kidding. I mean, obviously the Browns have had Texans have done a few of those.
Someone will trade out.
But this, I think so. But there's never been this close to the draft where every team has had their own first-round pick, which is kind of sick.
Yeah, it is interesting. Makes mock drafting more fun.
It does make it more fun. And that is a nice segue because I wanted to first get your take on whether you think that makes trades more or less likely.
Definitely going to be more likely.
I think so too.
Teams are going to move around. Teams always move around at the draft. It's just very they like to bounce. No one likes to stick and pick. No one likes it. Everyone wants to trade down. Yeah. It's hard to find somebody who wants to trade up. Yeah. That's the hard part. But I think you'll see some guys that some teams will panic.
I think so. I mean, or you see a run on a position group and someone's got to,
even someone like the Saints, and not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but they pick 9 right now. They probably didn't even think Shador was going to be in the wheelhouse. And now it looks like he might be. They might panic and just trade up for no reason. We see it all the time just to secure the guy.
Yeah. Yeah, because you never know who might jump you. Okay, so most picks in this year's draft go to the Ravens and 49ers, who have 11 picks each.
It's the 2 best teams drafting.
Yeah, of course, rich get richer. 49ers would have had the most, but they had a 5th-round pick forfeited due to a payroll accounting error back in 2022.
You think that guy still works there? That's the real question. Does that guy still work there?
Who took the fall for that one?
That's what I really want to know.
Yeah. Also of note, the Atlanta Falcons forfeited a 5th-round pick. This was due to violating anti-tampering policy from last offseason where they signed 3 free agents pretty early in the game before they were allowed to.
Again, tampering is stupid.
Yeah.
It's just let them tamper.
Yeah, it's very clear they all do it, but
and
I
there's
guess
like a legal tampering period now.
they call it legal tampering, which is crazy.
Yeah, that's like saying, oh, he did legal murder. Like it's either bad or not bad.
Yeah,
like you can't.
They just have a
You can't compartmentalize something that's against the rules.
Exactly. The fewest picks belong to the Minnesota Vikings, who have just 4 picks in this year's draft. The Falcons and Commanders each have 5 picks. Commanders obviously made some moves in the offseason to make it such, but those are your fewest picks in the draft. I like to emphasize
Samuel, right?
Huh?
Deebo Samuel.
Deebo is one of them, yeah, for sure. And I think
Didn't they trade for somebody else?
Tunsil.
Laramie Tunsil was the other one. Yeah, I couldn't remember for some reason.
Yeah, so that'll be worth noting. Those are probably candidates that may be less likely to trade fewer picks to begin with. I like to emphasize the teams that have a lot of picks at the beginning. So I did find that the Seahawks have 5 picks in the top 92. The Bears have 4 picks in the top 72, which is big for them.
Yeah, they need that.
And the Patriots have 4 picks in the top 77.
They also need talent.
Yeah, Bears and Patriots both picking at the top of the draft.
And they both have quarterbacks.
Yep. So that's a chance for them to get some pretty good talent.
Because those guys need talent around them. Although I honestly don't think
they've been active though.
Yeah, I don't think the Bears are having a talent problem. I think they had a coaching problem.
Yes,
they might not anymore, but
we'll see.
We'll see. I just don't think it was a talent problem last year.
No, it clearly wasn't. I mean, they made so many splash moves.
Yeah, and they got Caleb. They lucked into that pick.
Yes,
like they basically hit a jackpot
on
that
with the Panthers. The year prior.
That's why I don't. That's going to be an interesting team to watch draft because they could literally go like I could see them doing almost anything.
Right,
like Sands, like quarterback.
Right,
I could see them literally taking any other position on the field.
Because last year they started the season with DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, then they added Rome Odunze.
Yeah. Who barely played. So you would think maybe not receiver, but you never know. I honestly think they might go because I don't really trust Keenan Allen. Is he still? I don't even know if he's still on their contract.
I actually don't even think so. He might have left Chicago, honestly. So.
I don't think he was a good fit there anyway, because Caleb Williams likes to, he's like a playmaker. He likes to run around and make things happen. And Keenan Allen's
pure possession.
This is my spot. I'm getting to it. Throw it to me now.
Get me the ball or else. Yeah. Okay. Number one podcast listeners, for your sake, I am going to be posting Thomas's mock draft, but just in the interest of giving you his top 5, everybody wants to know. Because those are the splashy picks.
Those are the fun ones, yeah.
Yeah. So the Tennessee Titans pick, number 1 overall. No surprise here. This guy's been tied to him. Cameron Ward, the quarterback from Miami. Thomas, you have them going to have him going to the Titans, rightfully so.
All-time college football passing yards leader.
Is
Cam Ward, yeah.
Yeah, he was in college for a long time. So
he got it in that bowl game, and then he left right after. I honestly, people hated on that for it, but like,
why not?
Dude, yeah, get it. You don't care. Who cares about whatever they were probably playing in like
Case Keenum?
I think he did. It was Case, I believe.
That sounds right. Okay, number 2 is the Cleveland Browns. You have them take in Abdul Carter, pairing him with Myles Garrett, which would be insane off the edge. So a lot of people believe we'll get your take on who's the best player, but he's definitely been mocked at the top. The Giants, you have taking Travis Hunter, wide receiver, cornerback. Yep. I'm going to ask you a question about him later, too, in that same vein. But the Giants have a lot of needs, so you have them taking the Heisman Trophy winning Travis Hunter. The Patriots, you have them going offensive tackle and getting Membu, the offensive tackle from Mizzou. The Patriots have a lot of needs, but it makes sense for them to prioritize protecting Drake May, who had a great season last year.
Yeah, and looked really, composed. Like, he looked really composed as a rookie.
Yeah. And number 5, Jacksonville. You have a little shakeup here, and this might be a little preview of a later question, but you have them taking the wide receiver out of Arizona, McMillan.
Everyone goes Tet. I can't say. I don't.
Tet McMillan. Yeah.
I was praying you would have looked it up, figured out how to say it.
No, I probably should have, but that's safer. Tet McMillan.
Tet's nice.
Wide receiver out of Arizona, going number 5 to Jacksonville. They have quite the needs too, and they've lost a lot of skilled players in Jacksonville. So I'll be interested to get your take on why you think that is later. But there's your top 5. Ward to Tennessee, Carter to Cleveland. Travis Hunter to the Giants at 3. Membu, the tackle out of Mizzou, to the Patriots, and McMillan, the wide receiver out of Arizona, goes to Jacksonville.
And I am from the future, and those are all correct, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah, 100%. I actually think I did get the entire top 6 right last year.
Yeah. I sent you your mock from last year because it showed up on my memories, and you really nailed it, including even down the list, you had Adunze going to the Bears at their second first-round pick, and you nailed that one.
Yeah, and I think I screwed it up. It's funny because I screwed it up when I did like a trade. Like I went and did a trade, and then it kind of goes off the rails from there. When you guess that confidently and you're wrong, it just fucks you up.
But your trade was the Vikings trading up to get J.J. McCarthy, and they stayed put and got J.J. McCarthy.
I will say I was with my friend Scott Nelson. Shout out, Scott.
Shout out, Scott.
We were watching the draft together, and he goes, "What's something crazy? Like, what do you think could happen that like no one's expecting?" I'm like, "I think the Falcons could take Penix." And literally, like, we were at a bar, and people were like, "Oh, you're crazy. You're crazy." It happened. People were just buying me drinks and shots. They were like, "What do you know?" And
how did you know that?
Literal just shot in the dark.
People went crazy at that move. It was like...
And even though it was, like, insane, it kind of made sense.
Right.
It kind of made sense because, like, the way the board I thought it was going to break was not in their favor.
Yeah.
And at that point, like, you might as well take a huge swing.
Because I think the consensus last year at the time, I'm trying to think back, was like Dallas Turner to them.
Yes.
Because they had a need on defense, and they just signed Kirk Cousins for a big amount of money.
It was nuts. It was,
Now, it ended up paying off because Kirk didn't look like himself last year.
Again, I thought it was good insurance to draft him there. I thought it was good. I don't think we'll see anything that crazy in this draft.
Yeah, it doesn't.
This is a safer draft.
It doesn't feel that way for sure.
At first, overall, we had like for a while there was some wildness in the air.
Yeah,
like people were like the Titans could go any which way, and now I think it's kind of settled in.
It almost feels like in the old days when they used to sign a first-round pick early, like they would do that with Ward. That's how much it feels like a wash. I'd be interested to see if even like Vegas has odds on it because it's such
minus like 10,000 or something like that. Yeah, so, it's not worth the risk of him getting in a car accident between now and the 24th.
Totally. Speaking of your top 5, my top 5, and not 2 through 5, number 1 podcast listeners, Magic Mind. We got it here, the visuals. See, now you can see what I've been talking about in audio form if you haven't gotten it already.
Ding.
So
wait, we each have to do.
We're talking top 5, but not 2 through 5. Magic Mind, your product here. It's a big reason why it genuinely helps my day in productivity and alertness. It's helping fuel us right now, actually.
I'm a little pissed that because you had them send me one.
Yeah.
And I really liked it, and now it feels like I fell for the marketing scheme. Like, I was in on the ad, and now I'm like, oh,
this is actually good.
Now I became a customer of theirs. Like, they got me, and now I see ads for this on other podcasts. Do you see this?
I do.
I see, like, Pete Holmes does them a lot, and, like, I don't know if he's drinking them for real.
Yeah.
Like, I know I'm drinking them for real. I don't know if Pete Holmes is drinking them for real.
You were just at my house and you saw them.
Yeah, they had them there. I will vouch for that.
Yeah, like I've told you, number 1 podcast listeners, I wouldn't recommend it to you. I wouldn't recommend it to my family, my friends, if I didn't believe in it completely. So
the only thing that sucks is I hate doing the shot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
I like the form of it. I mean, some people mix it into things.
I make
but
this face every shot I do of anything.
I like it feels like green juice, and so I like this.
Fuck it.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. Yeah, I love that. Let's get it. We're here in visual
that one wasn't
form,
bad.
So.
That shot wasn't bad. Hell yeah.
Incredible. And
it actually almost, like, it goes down so easy.
Yeah. And
sorry, Magic Mind, you're not paying us enough for this, but I will say, it goes down, like, easy.
It's totally portable. It's so convenient, too. Like, it's a grab-and-go item. And
it's better than, like, I've been able to cut out Red Bull.
Nice.
I was addicted to like taurine or whatever it is in Red Bull. Like I was addicted to it.
It does make you feel better. You can use it, like I've told you guys, as a supplement to your caffeine, or some people close to me have even replaced like caffeine altogether with it because they feel just as productive with it. So I'll leave that to you guys. I initially would trust it as like a supplement. I've recommended to family in that way. They're people telling me how much caffeine they're consuming during their workday. Like, we'll try this so you feel a little better about yourself. It's a nice starting point at least, and maybe you can work on it.
Last tidbit, and I'll let it go.
Yeah.
I think I want to try this in coffee.
I have not tried that yet, but I had someone say that they use one of those hand mixers, like the electric.
Yeah, I just saw it says olive oil, and I know many Italians, and they put olive oil in their coffee.
Really?
And I was like, and this is just like matcha green tea and olive oil. You know what I mean?
It would make sense.
It could go in coffee.
Yeah, you could easily mix it in. It's got complementary flavors.
Next visual pod, I'm gonna do it with coffee.
Oh, I love that.
Guaranteed.
Maybe we'll show it being mixed in.
Yeah, we'll do it all in there. I'll give you the whole walkthrough.
It's gonna turn into a food and drink related podcast. You never know.
No one's gonna think Magic Mind didn't tell us to script this. This is the longest ad read of all time. No one's gonna believe us.
But I did want to emphasize the clean ingredients because I talk about them a lot. You don't have guilt when you have this. You just saw us take it. The clean ingredients are scientifically backed, which is a big deal for me. And one of those favorites of mine is that they use turmeric in this. Growing up in an Indian Hindu household, I don't need to tell my fellow Indian folks how big turmeric is for us, but it's considered a sacred plant. It's used in religious ceremonies. It's also believed to bring good luck. It's also used as a symbol of prosperity and fertility. And I personally take turmeric and supplements with turmeric to help like anti-inflammatory, history of back issues, that sort of thing.
Hell yeah.
A lot of health benefits of turmeric, and this has it in it. So can't really beat that. The proof is in the fact that I use it myself and recommend it to others. So I wouldn't co-sign it otherwise. I teased this the last couple episodes, a special code for you. And I debuted it in visual form just for you guys.
Let's go.
Yeah. Extra special offer for this particular episode. You can get 40% off instead of the regular 20%. That's right, a 40. You got a visual now.
Put it on the board. Get it up. Get it on the wide shot. Get it on the wide shot there. 40, baby.
40% off. Special to you, number one podcast listeners. But it's a new link. So check the episode description. It's magicmind.com/Prem40. That's PREM40. Enter the code PREM40, PREM40. And it'll get you 40% off. I tested the link out. I didn't use one of the limited links, but I wanted to make sure I tested it for you, number one podcast listeners. So hurry because it's limited to this month, and it's limited in the number of uses. So don't play yourself. There's nothing to lose. I've told you about this. It's a money-back guarantee. So go get your Magic Mind. If you've been waiting to try it, this is your chance. 40% off. Don't play yourself. Big discount. It's big time just for this medium, for you guys, for this episode.
It's a big one.
Yeah.
We've done more Magic Mind than NFL Draft, and we love the NFL Draft.
Yes.
So that's how much we like Magic Mind.
The price has got to come up here. But anyway.
Yeah, you guys have to.
Discount is big time. Speaking of which, this draft episode is big time.
Big time.
Yes. So, Thomas, I ask you this every draft edition.
I always love this question, too.
Yeah, fam or nah, this draft is a deep draft.
Every year this question gets asked, and it borderline makes like no sense because we just don't know. Because we're talking about like the later round guys that add up into something. Right. We just don't know.
It's a crapshoot.
Yeah. I will say this draft is, I would say when someone says deep draft, they're not actually even talking about the quantity of good people. They're talking about the variety of good positions that there are available.
Totally.
And in that sense, it is a very good draft.
Okay.
It is a deep draft that way. Because like there's a good quarterback. There's good wideouts. There's good running back. There's good everything you could possibly need.
Glaring.
There's no like year Kenny Pickett quarterback year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's no year where you're just like, I really can't reach on a wideout here. You know what I mean?
Right.
So when people say deep draft, what they're really saying is like, could everyone walk away with a good player? Yes, I think this is a good one.
Okay.
Especially on that second round turnaround. Those teams picked a really good year because I think the difference between the guy at 17 and the guy at like 35 is small.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it's small.
Got it.
It's smaller than most years.
Yeah, because other years we've had like really top-heavy drafts and...
Yeah, some of the top-heavy ones are like... They're weird. They're like weird drafts too because people do weird shit because they get nervous. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, I have to go get my guy. Like even the year that the Falcons jumped up for Julio.
Yeah.
That was wild. They already had Roddy White.
Yeah.
Like, they were good, but they were like, we want a wide out, and we need
He's
this one right now.
Yeah.
AJ Green's gone. We got to get Julio. So
right.
they pretty much went and got their guy. And I don't know if we'll see trade-ups that desperate, because if you have to pivot to plan B in this draft, you're probably okay.
Yeah.
That's really what it comes down to.
That's a great way to put it. Okay. Okay. We talked about your top 5, but
Yes,
it
sir.
feels like the tipping point of this draft happens right away because Cam Ward is largely mocked at number 1 to the Titans, as we talked about, by most folks.
That's probably in like Penn at this point.
Yeah.
That's
like all but like we were talking about, he probably would have signed a contract already.
a la
like.
Carson Palmer.
Yes. Back in the day, Sam Bradford, that sort of thing. But this tipping point happens at 2 and 3 with Cleveland and the Giants, respectively. So, the Browns and Giants, do you think they should go with best player available? As you've mocked, let me remind you, number 1 podcast listeners, you have the Browns taking Abdul Carter and the Giants taking Travis Hunter. Some other folks have that flip-flop, but yeah. Same concept, best player available. Should they go with the best player available, despite both needing QBs of the future, it seems, and or do you think that they should be considering quarterback?
I think that the Browns are not set up to have a quarterback come in right now.
Yeah.
I think they know that.
Yeah.
I think they signed Kenny Pickett. They just signed Joe Flacco.
Yep.
I think that they know that they're not going to win because of their quarterback, and they basically need to win, just ride on someone's back. You know what I mean? Like, let the defense dominate, do their thing, because, like, their quarterbacks cost them last year. Jameis is fun.
Yeah.
But he's not going to go out and win you games. He's probably going to lose you as many games as he goes out and wins you, which is great for a team like the Giants, who probably don't really care about winning. But, like, the Browns bringing in Shador or Jackson Dart, it just doesn't make sense. They're going to walk into a situation that's not great for them anyway. Now there's a very crowded quarterback room there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's not even a spot for a rookie to come in. Kenny Pickett's not going to help that rookie. Kenny Pickett wants to salvage his career.
Great point.
Joe Flacco's got a year left.
Yeah.
Deshaun, you know what I mean? This is probably Joe Flacco's last or second to last year.
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson probably still wants to prove he's something. It's not a very good spot for a rookie quarterback. I think they know that. Again, it's the Browns. So
and they've already made that mistake before.
Yeah, they've literally done that before, where they brought a quarterback in where they weren't ready to bring a quarterback in.
Yeah.
I think they know that. That's why I think they don't even go Travis Hunter.
Okay.
I do think that they're saying, like, we put Travis Hunter out there. Say you put him, again, I think Travis Hunter's a special defensive back and a good wide receiver.
Okay.
But I think if you put Travis Hunter out there at wide out, and he wants to play both. Like, if you're drafting Travis Hunter at 2, you're going to play him at both.
Yeah.
Do you really want Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett, like, throwing him those balls? Like, investing in a wide out right now when you don't have the guy to throw to him that consistently doesn't make sense. The Giants, I think the New York Football Giants smell Arch Manning in the air.
Oh, really?
I think they smell it. Mara, the owner of the Giants, is a nice guy.
Yeah.
So, like, he's constantly in this, like, little weird battle with, like, Woody Johnson, who owns the Jets, of, like, John Mara's trying to be, like, the family guy and, like, do things right. Like, even if you go to the stadiums, there's, like, a section of the stadium that the Giants have open to the public before the games. And then they basically close it down at, like, halftime or whatever.
Wow.
And it's just to, like, walk around. The Jets, those are the most expensive seats to get into.
Of course.
Is that section. It's like a buffet with the Jets. John Mara's dream is Arch Manning.
Yeah.
That's literally his dream. Like,
get their best quarterback in history, his nephew.
I literally think he would go berserk.
Yeah.
If they were in a position to draft Arch Manning.
Yeah.
And they had a quarterback on the roster that blocked them from doing that. I think he would go berserk. It would bad. I think the Giants smell Arch Manning in the air, and they're going to kick the can. I don't know if DeBall's in on it. I just don't know. I don't know if they told him, like, I would have fired DeBall personally as a GM. And, like, I'm a big believer in letting a coach ride it out.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer on a long leash with coaches. Because, like, you don't know in 2 years. You know, you just don't know. And, like, he was stuck with Daniel Jones and, like, Tommy DeVito and stuff. You don't know with him. I would have probably fired him. But the fact that they didn't makes me think he's either being scapegoated next year, get Arch whoever he wants, or, you know what I mean? Like, maybe Sark. You know what I mean? Maybe he comes over with them because, like, the Mannings have sat out before.
Yeah.
They've said we're not playing for that team. I don't think they would do it to the Giants. And I think there's an outside shot that if the Giants pick 2 or 3, the Manning family would say, we're sitting out.
Just like they did with Eli.
And we want him to go to the Giants because the Giants took very good care of Eli Manning.
Totally.
They took very good care of Eli Manning. He was very shielded, and for a very flawed quarterback, he was very shielded, and he's a hero there. So I do think that the Giants go Travis Hunter because I think DeBoer wants the offense to get good.
Yeah.
He wants to show that the offense is good because he wants to be the guy. And remember, we're 1 year at best away from Arch. There's a realistic shot.
Yeah.
We're 2 years away from him.
Right.
So I think that that's a good fail-safe, especially with Travis Hunter being able to play defensive back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's no pressure for him to come in there because they have neighbors already. Yeah. They have their elite guy. Travis Hunter can play situationally. I think that I would almost bet that even if they picked first overall next year, if Arch didn't come out, they wouldn't take a quarterback again. I bet they would kick the can down again.
Is Arch Manning worth tanking for, in your estimation?
He does things that are special, and he comes from a family that's special. It's rare, I think, a quarterback's worth tanking for because I do think the situation a quarterback goes to is more important than how good the quarterback is.
Totally.
Like, I mean, look at the upside of, like, Anthony Richardson. You're talking about a guy. This guy could literally be he's built in a lab to play quarterback. It sucks. It hasn't worked it out at all. That situation completely sucks. I do think that Arch makes that a lot easier. He makes it a lot. Like, Joe Burrow went to a really shitty team.
Yeah.
And he was good enough to overcome all that. I think Arch is the guy that could turn around the culture. I would tank for him.
Got it.
I would say he's probably one of the only guys I would tank for. I was Andrew Luck.
I was gonna say that was the first name I thought of. Yeah.
Andrew Luck was a guy you tank for.
I got a best friend that's a Panthers fan. And he's still mad over him going back to school.
I did have Mahomes as a first overall. I wouldn't have tanked for Mahomes though.
Yeah.
Because like you know, like I was higher on Mahomes than literally anybody.
Yeah.
Like in Holyfield, shout out to the Holyfield squad. But when we were at Holyfield, I gave him a perfect rating. Yeah. And literally with the other draft guys were like, what are you doing? I'm like, you have to watch Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
But you didn't even realize that.
Yeah.
Like that didn't come up until like after the year. So like you're not gonna plan that far in advance. Arch Manning is someone that I think a couple teams are gonna kick the can down. Like the Browns.
Yeah.
Even a team like the Steelers.
Yeah.
Like, these are guys that I could see kicking the can down the road and being like, they're not really trying to solve their quarterback situation because they don't want to be stuck.
Yeah.
If Arch comes up.
Fill in the gap.
You're talking about honestly, teams should have tanked for Luck 2 years away.
Yeah.
Teams should have planned more than a year in advance. We knew. Everyone knew.
Yeah.
The only thing with Luck that came up late was RG3 ended up being really good prospect.
Totally.
That was really the only
part.
Yeah, that was the only downside.
He was a given. Yeah. It seems like it's setting up for both the Browns and Giants to go with who they drafted or who they signed in the offseason, Russ / Jameis in New York. And
none of those moves scream we're interested in a quarterback. Totally. And when they knew they were at 2 and 3 when they made those moves, they knew the quarterbacks that were available.
Yep.
Could I see them hypothetically loving Jackson Dart and taking him in the second? Yeah, because that doesn't stop you from taking Arch Manning.
Totally.
You know what I mean? And if Jackson Dart ends up working out and you're good enough to not take Arch, great. That worked out. Yeah.
But it is, I mean, those two respective picks would be so fun because pairing Myles Garrett with Abdul Carter.
I know.
And then, as we just talked about, neighbors.
I hate the Browns, but like Myles Garrett and Abdul Carter, because they complement each other.
Yeah.
The way that they attack the quarterback.
Yeah.
That's going to be a nightmare. That's going to be a nightmare for people.
I feel like we need to address this each draft episode, so I always keep this in here. I gotta issue a you played yourself to people who pretend salary cap doesn't exist.
Totally makes sense.
Every year we go through this, and it's like we all ask, why isn't this team getting better? Why are they shedding so many contracts? You can't just decide for your team to go get someone ridiculous and then just expect it to work out.
Yeah, especially in trades. People go crazy with trades. Oh, let's trade for X. The other team has to want to do that too.
They have to want to, and there's even more things handicapping you than the salary cap because you still have to eat dead money. In some other sports, it's like you just have to make the numbers work, and you can exchange.
Like the NBA, you just match. Who cares? Yeah,
and it's not as if this team A has to finish paying player B who's on team B now. So
unless you're cutting somebody in the NBA, you're only paying the guy to play for you.
Yep.
You're not trading.
He's employed by you. Yeah. Now you have to make the money work, like we just said, even coming back. So you're paying someone.
Yeah, you're paying someone.
But it's not
that
as
money
if you're
either
getting
way.
penalized for trading away a player. So
No, the NFL's pretty. It's a tough. The salary cap's way tough.
Yeah.
The Saints don't want to look like this.
Yes.
The Saints do not want to look like this. Is not their plan at all. They just have not figured out how to get out of this with a quick exit that's painless.
And teams like that just keep kicking the can down the road. They'll like convert money to a signing bonus, and they just get further into cap hell. That's how it happens.
And then eventually it's going to avalanche down 1 year. And I think Kellen Moore's probably a good guy to do it with. But eventually the Saints are going to run out of rope. And hang themselves with it. That's really what it comes down to. Like,
it's true.
Derek Carr just got hurt.
Yep.
He might be out the whole year with offseason.
Yeah.
They just kicked his can down the road further. Like,
just converted.
They could have cut him. This was the cleanest exit, and they decided not to take it.
Insane.
Huge mistake.
Yeah.
Salary cap exists, and it's hard to deal with.
And you see that coming into fruition with the 49ers, especially this offseason, because they've had to shed a lot of contracts to prepare to pay Brock Purdy.
They're openly saying it.
Yes.
Like, it's not a secret. They're literally
Eventually
John Lynch is coming out and being like, I have to pay Brock Purdy.
Yep.
Like, I have to get rid of guys. I have to pay Brock
There's
Purdy.
only a finite amount, and they were the prime example of a team that you were like, how are they finding money for this player? It's because they had Mr. Irrelevant as their quarterback, paying him nothing.
Yeah.
So they had room to take on extra players, and now it's all coming to they had to trade away Deebo Samuel.
Yeah.
They're largely seeing if Ayuk needs to go.
Yeah, they want to get rid of Ayuk too. They do.
Yeah, so,
and Purdy's a guy that, as an organization, I actually like Brock Purdy. I loved him on his contract. Obviously, I thought that was the best value in the NFL. That's a guy I'd be scared to extend.
Yeah.
Because if that goes bad, people are going to be like, yeah, it was Mr. Irrelevant. You know what I mean? Like, people say it about Dak.
Yeah.
And Dak looked really good.
Yep.
Like, Dak was a very efficient quarterback. And once they signed him, things went bad. People were like,
shouldn't have paid him,
Shouldn't have paid him, but like, you have to.
You have to.
Then what's the other option? Let Brock Purdy walk? No one's going to trade for him knowing they have to pay him.
Brock Purdy, and we've talked about this on Prem Brulee before, but you have to remember, I think my brother brought it up, Brock Purdy largely made people forget that they whiffed hard on Trey Lance.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was the same draft, and Trey Lance, he just recently signed with the Chargers on a 1-year deal after being on the Cowboys. But
maybe the worst draft pick I've ever seen, by the way. And Trey Lance was like, there was really no indication he was going to be a good quarterback.
But they get no negative publicity about it because they
went to a Super Bowl. It worked out. They went to 2, right?
Yep.
Yeah, they've gone to 2.
Yeah, I've never seen somebody skate by, but we'll see how it works out for the Niners with all these contracts they had to shed. Got an issue you played yourself. This also seems like an annual thing. Teams waiting to pay their players.
Teams,
specifically a team I'm allegedly a fan of. Allegedly, I cannot emphasize this enough. There has never been a team that pays less by waiting to pay a player,
and it's never worked out.
It's never worked out.
It's
never worked out. It's never been like, oh, you know what? I'm glad we waited to pay player A.
Especially when that player's like CeeDee Lamb.
Yes.
Or like your quarterback, Dak Prescott.
Which was last year's edition of this, and they waited to pay him till way late in offseason. Borderline, I think we were just approaching the beginning of the regular season when they did it. And this year, of course, that stupid-ass team I root for, allegedly, that one up there is doing it again with Micah Parsons. Fucking around. Micah Parsons has largely said he's owed a lot of money. His productivity speaks for itself. He deserves to be paid.
And he wants to play for the Cowboys.
Yes. He wants to be there, loves being there. Sure, he might talk about it a lot.
No, he wants to get paid
It's
now.
a little rich being on a podcast talking about someone podcasting too much, but,
well,
we're
we
never
also
scared.
don't have to go home and like try to tackle Lamar Jackson.
Exactly. So,
I just realized this is the first visual podcast where people can't picture me as jacked. You know what I mean? Like there was a hint of disbelief. Like maybe he's jacked.
Yeah,
his
voice kind of sounds jacked.
Yeah, I am sitting down so they don't know I'm 6'5". Don't say a fucking word. Don't say a fucking thing. I'm 6'5". Yeah. Can you get down? Can you lower your seat?
Borderline Cam Newton size.
But it's never worked out. Not paying a guy's never worked out.
Never.
You and I was texting you about it. I'm like, what's the upside here? Dak Prescott ends up sucking next year and
Yeah.
you don't pay him, because then you have to start all over anyway.
Yes.
Like there's so little upside,
Yep.
and the Cowboys cannot figure it out.
And they
keep doing it.
Only thing that happens is the price goes up. So you can get, sure, he might be highest paid at that moment, but you are guaranteeing having to pay even more by waiting.
And there's a difference to it than the Jamar Chase situation, where he kept saying, I'm okay not to sign this big, huge contract. And he was guaranteed. He's like, I know I can get more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's like, I know I could get more. And he did that to the Bengals, where I think the Bengals just don't guarantee contracts very often.
Yeah.
They don't cut guys for what it's worth. They kind of
clearly showed that this offseason.
They guarantee the money, because, like, I mean, he's a billionaire. Like, anytime someone says, like, oh, he's a poverty owner, he can guarantee these contracts. He just doesn't want to.
Yeah.
But, like, they guarantee the money by not cutting guys before their deal is up. That's how they guarantee it. That's how they don't have to place the money in escrow. They kind of like do this wink thing. And Jamar Chase was like, fine, then I want a huge number.
Yeah.
So the number just kept going up. Then he won the Triple Crown, and like he went crazy, and the Bengals were like, oh, I mean, we want to sign you.
Yeah.
You don't want to sign for less, that you don't want to sign early. You want to sign the last moment you can.
Yeah.
T. Higgins was a different story. They could have got T. Higgins cheaper. Like, you see the teams do this.
Yeah.
But every single team signs their stars except the Cowboys, and then they like publicly disparage them.
It's the weirdest thing.
Why do the Cowboys, one of the most recognizable, forget sports brands, one of the most recognizable brands in the world, why do they intentionally do this to themselves?
I have no
You would
idea.
think the exact opposite would happen out of Dallas.
He being Jerry Jones is so convinced like this method works. I don't know what.
Yeah, what is that? And it's never worked.
It's never worked. It has never worked to disparage a player you're going to end up signing. What does that help accomplish?
Yeah, stop talking. At least just shut up about it. Like, if you want to do this, if you want to play this like hardball, whatever, shut up about it.
How does that give you an advantage to like talk shit about him? All it serves is to make you look bad, and at best makes it a little awkward when you do sign the guy.
Micah Parsons is at home. Like, every time he hears Jerry talk, he's like, Bill went up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fucking price went up.
Price just went up, dude.
And it's been that way
I can't
every
blame
time.
him. Yeah.
Why wouldn't you just let him talk shit about you, and then he'll end up paying even more by you waiting?
And they signed Zeke.
Yeah.
They signed Zeke. And I remember when they signed Zeke, I was like, this is going to suck, because now they're going to use this as an excuse for every other contract.
And they do it every time. They said they somehow are the only team that uses excuses to retain players and pay them as a reason why they don't get better. And somehow all these other competent teams
everybody
figure it out.
else does it.
It's as if they're operating on a different salary cap than everybody else, but Jerry's the only one complaining about it. It's crazy to me. I mean,
it's a poorly run organization right now.
Number one podcast listener, I had to deliver on at least one Cowboys moment. You know, football's still dead, so I'm not really talking about them. I've claimed that. And
just professional football, though, right? Go Buckeyes.
Go Bucks, always, baby. You already know. National champs.
They're all
baby.
over the place up in this
They
studio.
are.
Look at that. He's right there. We got Will Howard.
Our guy. I'm going to ask you about him, too.
All right, I could talk about Will Howard
the guy,
for a long time.
Going out in the flat in that very play, too. I'm going to ask you about him, too. Shout out the visual, too, by you, man. Incredible.
Somewhat of a misunderstood genius, I'd say.
Fully understood, actually, but...
Yeah, I explain it to everybody.
See, here's how I'm misunderstood.
Let me explain to you how I'm a genius.
Okay. I got to add this. We try to add in a non-sports you played yourself. We're in April. This happens every time, but I get reminded of every year. These corporate companies overdoing the April Fool's gimmick.
Oh, it's so annoying.
Like, we get it. You think you're funny, but it just fucking isn't.
I don't know. And the worst part is when they leave the post up. It'll be like Pringles, and they're like, "We're flat Pringles now."
Yeah.
Like, it's flat. It's like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life.
It's not even funny.
No.
All it serves is to get you mad. It's like, it might even make me. You already know we're the home of Petty Alert here.
Yeah.
So it
sound the alarm.
Sound it, baby. And yeah, that's a nice. We get to finally do it.
I know, you literally sound the alarm.
This is what we do when I'm recording, by the way. So like, sound it.
Yeah, there's
like
no
this.
difference to me.
Cool.
Like, I'm actually going like Petty Alert, Petty Alert.
But it would actually make me not buy a product if I didn't like the joke that much.
I actually think the only way to save April Fool's jokes is to make the joke product.
Yeah.
Like make flat Pringles as a joke. That's a joke. Everything else is just an Instagram post.
It's like maybe it's better even, or like you'll get buys out of it.
Remember when the international IHOP was like IHOB? They're like, we're switching our names to International House of Burgers, and it was all to launch like a new burger menu or whatever. You change the logo on the building, and I'm in there.
Do it.
I'm going to IHOP. I'm checking it out. This half-measured Instagram post bullshit.
Yeah.
Nah, get out of there.
Me.
Or if you're gonna do it, you got to be like incredibly like dark about it.
Yeah.
You got to be like, hey, we've been acquired by like Lockheed Martin. Like, sorry. We're making Pringles ammunition now.
We're merging with our biggest competitor.
Yeah, like and like completely like shock them. Don't even like get them in on it. Like have Pepsi post like we've acquired the Coca-Cola company.
This is a joke, right?
Yeah, they would, because Coca-Cola would fucking panic. They would be like, yo, this is a nightmare. Like play pranks on other companies. Don't just like do dumb shit on Twitter X. To us, you know what I mean?
Bring the petty, baby.
Bring it in all the way in. Go all the way in.
Amen.
No such thing as half funny.
Hell yeah. A lot of these were submitted by you, number one podcast listeners. So I want to thank you guys for submitting these, engaging with us. I love this episode because I get to pick your brain on things.
This is a fun one to do too. Like we kind of ramble. It's like just two dudes hanging out. It's just dudes talking ball. Two ball knowers.
Ball knowers, baby.
It's just two dudes.
And this is a way for me to confirm, like, oh, do I really know ball?
Oh, do I know what's going on?
Yeah, it's nice because I'll be like, people ask me draft questions like, the pod's coming sooner.
Yeah.
Oh, you clearly haven't listened yet.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Okay. So you dropped this tidbit earlier, but I want to ask you officially in this section, Travis Hunter, is he a wide receiver, cornerback? Can he play both? Should he play both in the NFL like he did at a Heisman Trophy winning level? And where do you think he's better at? I think you mentioned it earlier.
Yeah, I think he's a special defensive back. I think he's got really unique ball skills. I think as a wide receiver, he's good. Yeah. He's talented. He could play wide out in the NFL. Like he's good enough to play wide out in the NFL. Don't think he's ever going to be an every down guy. I think he knows he's not going to be an every down guy. Dion wasn't an every down guy. He's a lot like Dion. He's like a little more of like a modern version, not as like
more lengthy. It feels like.
Yeah. He's like a little bit more built for the modern game. Like Dion would probably get like mossed in many situations these days, but like in his time, Dion was incredible. He was like a different athlete. But I think he's going to be a special defensive back. I think he should be drafted as a defensive back. Okay. But I do think that no team is going to draft him without putting him at wide receiver. Yeah. That's included in his value. Yeah. Like, because for all you know, Travis Hunter gets the NFL and flames out at defensive back. Yeah. You know what I mean? He's a risk taker. He's a gambler. Totally. Those guys can kind of like, Pac-Man Jones was great his first couple of years, and then it kind of just fell apart. You know what I mean? And that value is kind of baked in to have him play a little wide out. Yeah. I think he'll play a little wide out. And there's plenty of receivers that run like 9 routes. Yeah. He can learn 9 routes. Oh, you know what I mean? Ton, yeah. And the thing is, when you put him in there, you're probably passing the ball. Yeah. Like, you're probably giving that tip out to the defense. I don't think he'll ever be out there on like a 2nd and 4. You know what I mean? Right. They're not going to have him block. They might do like gimmicky end arounds. Yeah, they might do end arounds or use him as a decoy. But if he's out there, they're probably they don't want him. You just don't want him going out there blocking linebackers or taking cheap shots. You know what I mean? It's just not worth it. Yeah. Okay. And you do think it's realistic for him to play both? I do. I think he'll play both. I think he'll see about 15 snaps a game at wideout. That's kind of what when Dion played for the Cowboys, he was in special moments on offense, and you're kind of seeing he might have a little bit more of a workload. I get so annoyed by I listen to like a lot of like NFL draft stuff too, just because I'm like curious what other people think. I kind of like Are they seeing the same things as you? I'm like, what am I missing if they're like in love with this guy? If it's like someone I trust. I keep hearing pundits say that he could be a kick returner. It's the one thing he never fucking did. Yeah. It's literally the one thing he didn't do there. Yeah. Would he return 1 kick? Why would you want would you want your if it doesn't make sense. The other 2. It made sense with Patrick Peterson, who was a special defensive back and a special returner. Because he did it in college. And then once he became super valuable as defensive back, They were like,
stopped.
yeah, you can't return punts anymore. Sorry, you figured it out in your first couple of years.
It happens all the time. Like, why would you want to put your best player there? The NFL generally doesn't do that because,
Never. Yeah.
like Des Bryant returned a few punts.
Yeah, I remember
and then
that.
He just never did again. Like,
I don't mind it in an emergency.
Yeah.
Like, you're down big,
need
go
a big
put
play.
Odell back there.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, I thought the Vikings should have put Moss there.
Yeah.
Like, I remember thinking, like, if you're down big and you're like, we need high risk, go throw him out there. Worst case scenario, he's getting hit.
Yeah.
They know how to take a hit.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Totally. Okay. Next question. Houston Texans.
Let's go, baby.
You already know. Shout out my fam. You know this came from them. But they made a lot of noise this offseason because they largely traded away a good portion of their offensive line, including Laramie Tunsil, who we mentioned. Houston Texans in this draft, are they going an all offensive tackle draft? Or do you see them replacing tight end, receiver, also because they lost Stephon Diggs in free agency? Tank Dell's probably going to be out the whole year. So they still have Nico Collins. They traded for Christian Kirk. So obviously a need there.
Yeah. That's a
Where do you
tough
think the
situation.
Texans go?
I think they're going to bolster that offensive line.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't think they're going to go all offensive line.
Right,
They're
right.
being a little facetious with that question. But I do think that they're going to focus on the offensive line as a whole. I think that they're set up in a decent place. Like, I think Nico Collins is criminally underrated.
Totally.
Tank Dell he might be done.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, that was brutal. It's been a brutal injury history for him.
I hate sex. I really liked Tank Dell a lot.
Yeah.
But, like, the Texans don't need a lot. I do fear they're too good to get the elite talent addition they need to make the jump.
Yeah.
It happens to a lot of teams. It's kind of really happened to the Bengals, even though they're like now missing the playoffs anyway.
Yeah.
But like they were so good in that Super Bowl run, the Bengals were, and they really just shouldn't have been.
Yeah.
Like they didn't really belong there. They almost won.
Yep.
And then they've kept making like win now moves. And like really they should have been like, that was a good run. Let's slow it
reel
down.
it back in a little bit. Yeah.
I think the Texans might have missed the mark with that.
Yeah.
Which is good for the culture because they are like any team can win it. You make the playoffs, any team can win the Super Bowl. It's totally fine. You just want to make the playoffs. Everything else is like, how good are you that day kind of thing.
Going on a streak.
Yeah. If you hit a streak, you're good.
Yeah.
But I just think that the Texans in particular need an elite talent.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to get it. So I do think they are going to be drafting conservatively and hope to make a trade. Like they went and got Stephon Diggs again. Crazy unfortunate. Crazy
and
unfortunate.
he was doing pretty well for them
like,
until his injury. Yeah.
Wildly unfortunate, and don't blame them at all for that. But on the other hand, they need like they should trade up. They should try to empty the war chest and try to get somebody elite. And
who would you think would be like if they could ideally get someone? Tyler Warren. So tight end is what was mentioned in that question.
I think he can block a bit too.
Yeah.
He can block a bit too.
He's definitely I won't tip my cap too much, but I'll ask you about the tight ends here in a little bit. But Tyler Warren's the tight end out of Penn State that most people he was clearly their best player this year.
By far.
So for number one podcast listeners' sake, Thomas, you have the Texans at number 25 taking Tyler Booker, the interior offense lineman at Alabama. So kind of what you hinted at. So next up, I like this question. Someone submitted. This person said, I suck at fantasy. Who should I draft first round? Obviously, we're talking real NFL draft, but I did want to kind of go with this because it's a unique fantasy year. You play a lot of fantasy football.
I do. Way too much.
Yeah. Same. Join the crew. Well, who do you think? We'll keep it honed in on the rookies. A lot of people play Dynasty now. Which rookie do you think will be an immediate contributor from a fantasy football standpoint? And those of you like me and you who are in Dynasty leagues, who do you think is some good targets? From
Omarion Hampton.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like him a
lot more. Running back at a UNC.
Yeah. In Dynasties, he's probably going to go like 3 or 4.
Yeah, he's going to go up there, yeah.
I love both Ohio State running backs. I've said long shot guy would be like Cam Scatabo.
Okay.
Or like Elijah Arroyo.
Okay.
The tight end out of Miami. I think those guys just have upside that carries them enough that like you want to take them late. Like I do think those guys are going to outperform where they get drafted. I don't think they're going to be studs, but in dynasty leagues and stuff like that,
you need some deep cuts. Yeah.
In non-dynasty leagues, like quite honestly, I would probably just take Jonte, and I would take him really quick in a redraft league because I do think he's going to get a lot of run in his first year.
Okay.
I would bet he sees over 250 carries his first year.
I would not doubt that at all.
Especially if he goes to like the Raiders or the Bears, who are both run first minded head coaches.
Yes.
And I think that would really kind of show how good he was. He was robbed for Heisman, by the way. I will come out.
Oh,
and
yeah?
say, yeah. I like Travis Hunter. I don't think he deserved the Heisman.
I think Heisman has turned into a narrative one, and that helped Travis Hunter's case.
I actually don't necessarily know. I believe it's that narrative based.
Okay.
I do think this one was, though.
Okay.
I will say.
Yeah.
Overall, I agree with most Heisman wins.
Yeah.
This one was tough.
Yeah. It was it was one of the closer ones. For what it's worth, you mentioned two teams there. The Raiders are a big, if you are into mock drafts and stuff, they're pretty common tied to Ashton Genty at number 6. In Thomas's mock draft, he has Genty at 10 to the Bears. At 6, you have Will Campbell, the tackle out of LSU, going to the Raiders, so bolstering their line. But yeah, Genty's going to be the obvious one for sure.
I just think he's so good.
Yeah.
I think he's like, remember Dalvin Cook in his prime?
Yeah.
I think he's like a little better than that.
Wow.
Yeah, I think people don't think of him as quick, and it's like nuts.
Yeah.
Like he is.
Oh, and you mentioned Omarion Hampton. You have him going 20 to the Broncos, which is a pretty popular tie for him, too, because the Broncos have a need at running back.
Yeah, it's just good value for him there, too. I think Hampton's like, I think he's closer than people think, especially in the NFL.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
love running backs, though.
All right.
I love running backs. I just do.
That'll be also a nice segue. We're connecting a lot of questions
let's go.
For you. Number one podcast listeners.
The flow is incredible.
Incredible. Okay. So we had a number one podcast listener ask about, obviously, tells you what state the Browns fans are perpetually at. Which kicker will Cleveland draft in the first round? Obviously, we know number one podcast listeners are exaggerating that, but there's a chance. We talked a little bit about them already, so I won't harp on them too much, but they signed Myles Garrett, which felt like I talked about in a previous episode. I think it was an opportunity for them to get value for him by trading him.
They weren't getting it.
It seems like they weren't.
What he's worth, no one was offering.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, that's really what it comes down to. They paid their guy, and Garrett negotiated the fuck out of that, quite honestly. Like, he said he was leaving. Didn't he, like, post on Instagram? And
he posted. He went all Super Bowl week on Radio Row talking about how he's ready to go, and the next thing you know, he said it wasn't about money.
Yeah, my hot take, I don't even think he ever wanted to leave.
Interesting.
I think
Use
that
it as
was
leverage.
Yeah, I think that was just well orchestrated.
Well, credit to him.
Like, no one's going to look back on Myles Garrett's career and be like, oh, but he didn't win a Super Bowl.
No.
You know what I mean?
No
like,
way.
that defensive ends don't get judged that way. They should.
He actually might be he'll be a hero in Cleveland, just like Joe Thomas.
Yeah,
always is.
I actually think Myles Garrett will have a Khalil Mack type. He'll be good for a long time.
Yeah.
So, like, he has an opportunity after this contract. He's 29, I think.
Yeah.
He's 29 or 30.
I think so, yeah.
But I think that Myles Garrett will have an opportunity after this contract to bounce around. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, kind of like Von Miller's been doing.
Yes, like I think he'll have that shot later, and I don't think he has to take it right now. Take the money now.
Yeah.
And, like, got to remember, if he wants to win, getting traded is not the way to go do that, because that other team then has to give up a ton of assets to get you.
Yeah.
The best way to do that is to leave in free agency, which I think he'll do. Because
after this one.
How old is he? He's
29.
He's 29.
He turns 30 in December, so like almost.
And what was it? It was a 5-year deal, I think.
Yep.
Yeah. So he's going to be 34. They're not going to franchise tag at 34
Yeah.
defensive end. He's going to walk, and then he can start signing 1-year deals wherever he wants to go.
Okay. Do you think that a lot of people are tying Kirk Cousins to the Browns, and obviously he's the backup? Do you think they're gonna?
Nope, it's gone.
They connect them because Kevin Stefanski and Kirk Cousins worked together in Minnesota and had
Kirk
success.
shot the contract, I think, guaranteed on like the first day or whatever.
Yeah,
it's not happening.
Yeah. That's why a lot of people thought it might.
Yeah, unless the Falcons do something insane, like cut him and eat that dead cap hit.
Yeah,
it's not going anywhere. No one even wants him.
You're right.
No one wants him.
Okay. One thing I didn't ask you about, because you obviously have them taking best player available. We already talked about that. But do you see the Browns do you see them taking a quarterback later in the draft, though? Like taking a flyer on someone?
Yeah, I could see them doing that. Like, I could see them taking, especially like Will Howard.
God, I hope not for our guys' sake.
Yeah,
but
I mean, I could just see it. Like, especially a flyer in the later rounds.
Yeah.
Like, again, that's not a good quarterback room to groom a guy to be the quarterback.
Yeah.
But it is a good quarterback room for competition right now.
Yeah.
And I think that, later rounds, even like Riley Leonard or someone who's just like probably not going to be great in the NFL, Dylan Gabriel, like that's the kind of guy you bring in there because like those are both competitive dudes.
Yeah.
Those are like ballers.
Yeah.
You bring them into that room, you might squeeze some blood from that stone. Who knows?
Yeah.
You get pretty lucky. But
Yeah.
do I think they're franchise guys? No. But do I think the Browns would be happy to take one of those guys and not play Joe Flacco?
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely.
I'm sure fans want them to play Joe Flacco.
I think they actually think Kenny Pickett's going to work out. And, he might. He might. But the only reason he really got drafted to the Steelers is the guy that recruited him to Pitt was the Steelers' offensive coordinator at the time. There was like one guy that believed in him. And like that was it.
Tough.
Go Ocean Township Spartans. Shout out Kenny Pickett.
Wow.
Yeah.
From the area, this didn't work out. Caused a lot of pain for Steelers fans. Also, a nice segue for a little bit from now. Same kind of question. We already talked about the Giants, but do you think the Giants take a flyer on someone this year?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They
Despite
definitely will.
signing, Mr. Unlimited and Jameis.
Mr. Unlimited.
Yeah. They both signed 1-year deals, so it's clearly adds to your thing about maybe going for Arch Manning eventually.
I don't think they'll trade up into like the end of the first. But like if somebody falls that they didn't see, like if Shador goes on that free fall that he might, if the Saints don't take him, he just might.
Yeah.
And it's not a talent thing. Actually quite like Shador's personality for what it's worth.
I do too, actually. I feel like I have to defend him. Like I've turned into this big Shador fan.
Right.
It is weird to be like, what don't you like about him? Like,
he's got the personality you want your quarterback to have.
I think they hate that he comes from like he's one of Deion's kids, and like you almost want like your quarterback to come from struggle. It's like what is he supposed to do?
If he was white, they'd be like, oh, he's like Baker Mayfield.
Yeah,
he's got like swagger to him. Quite honestly,
wow. Yeah,
you should probably be making that comment versus me, but I can't wrap my mind around it other than people literally just hate to see what they can.
Yeah.
It's weird. If a white quarterback's doing that, it's confidence, it's swagger. If a black quarterback's doing that, it's arrogance and ego, and it's
in this draft. It's interesting because like you saw it a lot with Cam Ward too, especially on the field. Like he talks shit. Like,
yeah, for sure. And then it was again, don't
he backed it up.
Yeah, don't hate the move to go out there, get the record, and come out of the bowl game.
Totally.
But like him and Shador were like tossing balls in a workout, and they were going at it.
Yeah.
Did you see that video?
Yeah.
They were going at it.
Yeah.
And it's like, I like that.
Yeah.
Like I honestly like his personality more than his ball throwing ability.
Yeah.
Like,
okay.
I think Shador's like a kind of guy you want, but you got to be all in on him.
Yep.
He's not going to make life easy on.
It's your whole thing. It's situation too. Like you got to let him be him. Like if you're trying to fit a square peg into a round hole, you got to let. I think largely, I would hope coaches are better about that now with the big personalities, but maybe quarterback is the exception.
And I hear this, they're like, "Oh, Deion's going to be a distraction." No, the fuck he is not.
He's coaching a D1 program.
Name like 5 NFL dads that are distractions. Patrick Mahomes' dad is drunk driving.
Yeah,
like every other week.
Yeah,
his brother's sexually assaulting women. All you hear is Patrick's the greatest.
Yeah,
like
you don't hear anything about
these distractions don't exist.
Yeah.
It's just seems like a way to discredit. A prominent black athlete. I'll just come out and say it.
I mean, do
you disagree? Like,
no.
Am I wrong? Like, if he was white, would you not see people being like, way more forgiving?
Totally.
Like, I mean, LeVar Ball was an asshole.
Yeah.
Like, he was just insane. Like, he's saying he's better than Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
He doesn't believe that stuff. Like, that. No. He's an actual asshole. Like, people don't want.
And he's a character. Like,
all his sons are great.
Yeah.
Like, they're great kids.
Totally.
Like, there's like
3 for 3.
They literally all seem like incredible guys. Like I see them, like I don't know any of them personally, but like I think Lonzo got like his knee replacement. Did you see this? He brought the family of
that donated.
Donated thing. Great guy. Like
totally.
If anyone is saying, "Oh, his dad's going to be a distraction," fuck off.
Yeah.
Like just come out and say it.
Right.
Just be a man about it. Come out and say it.
What do you really mean by that?
Yeah. Explain what you mean.
You sure about that? Yeah. Which player is going to annoyingly slip and wind up on a Super Bowl contender? I personally am ready for an elite player to fall to the Eagles and the Howie Roseman bow down to the annual Howie Roseman bow down to commence. I mean that tongue in cheek. This was a me question, but who do you think could potentially slip that winds up on a really good team? And also, we don't talk enough about the good teams, but who should they want? Like a team like the Eagles, Chiefs, Lions, Ravens, Bills. You don't have to name all of them, but are they all simply going best player available because they have an embarrassment of riches?
I think the Chiefs are going to go wide out, honestly.
Okay.
Remember last year when the Chiefs were like, everyone was like, no way the Chiefs get the fastest wide receiver in the draft. And of course he fell.
Of course, Xavier Worthy, yeah.
Luther Burden was a guy that like a couple weeks ago, people were like, is he the wide receiver one?
Yeah.
Now there's people that are like, I don't know what happened to his stock. Dude, I don't know what happened.
I want to ask you about the receivers a little bit too. Yeah.
I don't know what happened to his stock, but the Chiefs and hot take, maybe the Eagles are going to get a really good wide receiver because they're being really downplayed in this draft.
Yeah.
Really downplayed in this draft.
Yeah. I mean, this feels like a weird, not to get too far ahead of it, because they're part of what I want to get your take on position rankings, which is up next. But just worth noting some of those teams I mentioned. You have the Lions taking Emeka Ibuka. Shout out, go Bucks alert, at 28.
Love him. I just he's just so good.
He's really good. I mean, he's been really like the consummate. He's been like a professional his entire career at Ohio State.
Yeah,
like,
and though
played a lot of roles.
Ohio State quarterbacks get like discredited a little bit. I mean, I know for some reason you thought like C.J. Stroud was getting like crucified. And I remember texting you and being like, he went second.
Yeah.
He went literally only one guy got picked.
Listen, we had to defend our guy.
I'm just saying. I was like, it's not, you're insane. I kept telling him, like, he's not. People are just saying he's not the first overall pick. But the wide receivers that come out of there come out clean.
Yeah.
Those are like prospects that's a factor. I mean, LSU has stars.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I have no idea what it is.
They have
I don't know.
super
I have no idea what their recruiting system is like, but everyone in the world should just follow them from town to town, getting wide receivers. Sounds insane, but I just think Ohio State brings out really, really talented wide receivers consistently.
Yeah. Yeah, especially lately. They've even had later round guys that have turned into really serviceable. Like Noah Brown's been like an 8-year vet now, and he was a 7th round pick out of there. Yeah. And obviously Terry McLaurin's one of the premier receivers, and he was a 3rd round pick. He just fell like kind of in the mix, and he was really good at blocking. He was a good special teams player, and that's translated.
The thing. A lot of these guys draft, unlike baseball, where they're like, oh, he's a 5-tool guy. You know, I don't know how much baseball like prospecting stuff you follow, but like they basically get a roundabout grade, and each one of their things. And most teams aren't drafting someone because they're incredible at hitting and bad at everything else. But in the NFL, they basically do exactly that.
Yep.
And Terry McLaurin suffered by not being incredible at anything.
Yeah.
But he was really good at everything. And it turns out that being really good at everything makes you a really good wide receiver.
Totally.
And I still don't think I actually think he might be overrated by the casual fan.
Yeah.
And he's still criminally underrated for what he does.
Because he's productive.
There's nothing wrong with his game.
Yeah.
There's literally no flaw in his game. Like, he could play on 32 NFL teams in 32 schemes.
He'd fit anywhere,
Like, a lot of his career was just quite frankly wasted by bad quarterback play. But I do hear all the time, like, he's a top 10 wide receiver. I'm like, what's wrong with him being a top 20 guy?
No, nothing
with
wrong
no
with
flaw.
It. Yeah.
He's not, like, I could name 15 guys I'd take over him right now, but I would still love to have Terry McLaurin as my wide receiver one.
Totally.
Like,
he doesn't first come to mind, but I mean, he was originally he was drafted the same year as RIP, but Dwayne Haskins, and Dwayne Haskins asked Washington at the time to get one of his guys in the draft, and I'm sure they were already considering McLaurin, but it helped the case.
I don't know. I think that a player's say goes a long way.
Because I think we were talking about Tank Dell earlier. Stroud was a big proponent of them taking Tank Dell, and I mean,
I think
he
it
went
matters.
to
I mean,
Houston.
Joe Burrow just bullied the Bengals into signing his guys.
Yeah, totally. You do have the Chiefs, like you mentioned, receiver, them taking Matthew Golden out of Texas.
I think he's the one flying up and forcing Burton down. Quite honestly.
You have the Bills taking Derek Harmon, the defense lineman at Oregon, who's really good. Eagles going D-line, our guy Tyleek Williams. You have rounding out the first round at 32. And then some of the other team I mentioned, the Ravens, you have them taking James Pierce Jr., the edge out of Tennessee. So
yeah, I mean, I just think defensive line is like really underrated.
Yeah.
Would you say like objectively, like in the world, like generally people put their money where their mouth is, like money talks?
Yeah.
Like you can literally see the NFL and how they value players by the price, the contracts they sign these guys to.
Yeah.
And I think it literally goes like quarterback, wideout, offensive lineman, defensive lineman. Like the things they don't pay are like running backs, safeties, cornerbacks, tight ends. These are the positions that they don't want to invest in.
Totally.
And I think smart teams are like, I'm going to invest in the guys I do like. Like the Rams don't draft linebackers in the first. I think I finally have them doing it because like last year was atrocious for them.
Yeah, because they really hit on D-line last year in the draft.
Yeah.
And their glaring issue was
I mean, they just got ran all over. It was like embarrassing. Like I don't know if you watched that Eagles-Rams game, but like those Rams linebackers
multiple
were
times in that year too.
Yeah, I mean, Al's one of my best friends, diehard Rams fan, where he's like, dude, they're lost. Like they're gone. Like the Eagles are running literally like off tackle with Saquon, and the linebackers are flat-footed, standing the wrong way.
Hey,
we're
what
like,
happened?
There was no misdirection here. It was like big ugly
straight off
football.
Tackle,
Like, what is that? This is like, remember the Titans football they're running right there.
Like 23 blasts.
And friggin' you got like random Rams linebackers like, this is certainly a counter. Like, I mean, it matters. These positions, you never want to be terrible anywhere, but you could see where they put their money, and it's like, that's where teams are going to go.
I teased this a few times. We talked a little bit about each of these names, but I want to get your position rankings, especially of offensive groups, because these seem to be like the big questions of this NFL draft prospect batch. First up, appropriately, we talked about this, quarterback a bunch.
Hell yeah.
I want you to rank these guys, and feel free to add in others that I might have missed. But Cam Ward.
Okay.
Shedeur Sanders, Tyler Show, Louisville guy, struggled with injuries but got all the measurables.
I really liked that show.
Yeah, Jackson Dart at Ole Miss, our guy Will Howard, and then Jalen Milroe, who had a very impressive pro day at Alabama.
Yeah. Am I ranking them in terms of like value from where they're going to get picked, or am I ranking them in terms of like what order do I think they're going to get picked, or just like pure talent?
Okay, so I want to get what order you think they're gonna get, but I want to see how you rank these guys in terms of talent overall.
Okay, so I'll do the order. I think it's gonna go Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, Jackson Dart, Jalen Milroe, Will Howard, Tyler Show.
All right.
And in order of talent, holy shit, I'm gonna get fucking flamed for this. I think I got Jalen Milroe first.
Wow.
Yeah. I just think he actually brings a lot of uniqueness to that game and could put it together, but he's just got the highest ceiling.
Got it.
Then I would go Will Howard.
All right.
Yeah. Then I'd go Shedeur Sanders.
Okay.
Then I'd go Cam Ward. Then I'd go Curtis O'Rourke. Then I'd go Tyler Show.
All right.
Hot fucking take, dude. That's just a hot take ranking. It's just like...
But it's like, what do you do that's special, kind of?
Yeah, it's like, I like Cam Ward, but like his ceiling.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, obviously
he's got a higher floor. You always hear these things, but it's
he's got a really high floor, but like
least likely to be a total bust, basically.
Is Jared Goff worth the first overall pick, or would you rather keep rolling the dice on Patrick Mahomes?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
totally.
Like Jordan Love is objectively a good quarterback. Would you if you knew you could draft him first overall right now, would you? No, and I think that's Cam Ward, and I don't think he's going to be a bad quarterback, but I think you have to consider the fact that like when you're drafting first overall, like the Titans, if I were them, I would have stuck with Levis. I would have waited. If you're not completely sold on Cam Ward being elite, and again, I tend not to like guys that overstick around in college football. I think that they're really good guys to come in and have good rookie years, but he's going to be like 28 off. He's going to be 29 off his rookie contract.
Wow.
So
That's the same issue for what it's worth with Tyler Show out of Louisville because he's had a lot of injuries, but
yeah, I just,
not entirely his fault for sticking around college. But like
guys
it
get
is
hurt.
Yeah,
but I just think there's something about Jalen Milroe's potential.
Yeah.
That I find more unique than Cam Ward's potential.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Again, Jalen Milroe could be a total fucking bust and be playing tight end.
Right.
But, I'm a weird guy. Well, while we're here, I always thought Terrell Pryor could have played quarterback in the NFL if somebody dedicated themselves to him. I mean, he's actually a pretty good wideout.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it's crazy to say that Jalen Milroe could be Jalen Hurts.
Wow.
I don't think that, and Jalen Hurts literally just won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I just don't think that's nuts.
I mean, people were saying crazy things about Hurts not being a worthy prospect either, and part of that.
And quite honestly, he wasn't a great prospect. He wasn't a great prospect, and he does a couple things really unique. A, he's like incredibly good. Jalen Hurts, this is. He's incredibly good at not screwing up a play terribly.
Right.
He makes
he
mistakes.
Might miss something.
Yeah.
But
everyone makes mistakes, but he doesn't really like cost his team much.
Yeah.
He throws the deep ball perfectly.
Yeah.
He doesn't lead his guy. He actually throws it a little bit behind his guy. The next time you watch an Eagles game, you're going to be like, oh, fuck, that's genius. Because A, his guy knows that's how he's going to throw the football.
Yeah.
A defensive back cannot assume there's a guy in front of him.
Yeah.
And they're going to throw it behind. So he's going to overrun it. You'll see how many times the Eagles wideouts go up there, catch the ball, they're out of bounds, 40-yard gain. Easy. Yeah. Get a defensive pass interference. They get these things. Jalen Milroe has the skill set to be Jalen Hurts. Cam Ward maybe has the skill set to be Jordan Love.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Love
and
that.
CJ Stroud's another good one. I really like CJ Stroud. Do I think he's like a game-changing quarterback?
Yes.
Probably not.
Oh.
But I think he can. I think a team could win with Jared Goff. I think a team can win with CJ Stroud. I just don't think they're going to bail their team out or be special. You know what I mean? There's no identity to a CJ Stroud team.
Got it.
You know what I mean? It's harder to build around that. Whereas like Jalen Milroe, guys that have weaknesses are weirdly easier to build around.
Yeah, because you play to their strengths.
Because you just play to their strengths. Like the Eagles don't run the spread. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like they went out and did this stuff, and I think Jalen Milroe and like, quite honestly, like our boy.
Yeah.
I think if you put him in like a 4 wide pretty often, I think he's gonna fucking sling it.
He loves it.
I loved him at Kansas State.
Yeah.
I was like pissed when he went to Ohio State because I was like, shit, I kind of like this. But I know it's a hot take ranking, but I do it, and my methodology is more so like, what can this guy realistically be, and is that good enough?
Got it.
Like Shador, I think, is another guy with a super high floor, but I don't think a team's going to commit themselves to him.
Yeah.
Like Baker Mayfield's a great quarterback. Was he worth the first overall pick? Probably not. It's tough. Like quarterbacks just get overvalued. There's just not that many that are worth first overall picks.
Got it.
That's really what it comes down to.
Bonus question with the quarterbacks. Obviously, your mock draft, you have Cam Ward at 1 to the Titans and Shador Sanders at 9 to the Saints.
Yes, sir.
You do not have another quarterback going in round 1.
Yeah, I think that the Bills, Chiefs, or Eagles would trade down, and Commanders too, happily, if someone wanted to come up and get Jackson Dart. Or the 5th year with Lamar. You know what I mean? The Lamar 5th year that the Ravens did was like maybe one of the more brilliant moves I've ever seen.
Got it.
Like that Lamar Jackson coming out as a prospect, and I really liked Lamar Jackson coming out as a prospect. Everyone knew like there's a risk here.
Yep.
You know what I mean? There's a risk here. This could not work out and fail tremendously. The value of having that extra year to decide that is incredible.
Totally.
And I think with Jalen Milroe or like Jackson Dart, you want the 5th year. They're more valuable if you trade up and get that extra year.
Do you think some teams, because the Steelers kind of a mess in the quarterback room?
Aaron Rodgers is like holding them hostage.
Yeah. A lot of people are tying them to quarterback around that 21.
I could see them taking Jackson Dart, but I think it's a panic. I think it'd be a panic move. I think if Shador fell, they'd go get him.
Because they've met with him, and
I think
Okay.
Quite honestly, I think Mike Tomlin's a great fucking coach for Shedeur. Like,
Yeah.
they would be perfect
Yeah,
together.
they'd be a good fit. He seems like he's fine. He's clearly coached big personalities.
Yeah.
And he agreed to coach even more bigger personalities this year.
Yeah. He's signing up for that stuff.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And Aaron Rodgers is like, that situation's nuts over there.
Yeah.
They've made him an offer, and he's just like mulling it over or whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
they really are holding.
the Packers
holding
won a Super Bowl. What, he win 4 MVPs with the Packers? Like, has any team exited Aaron Rodgers and been like, glad he played here? Like, no. Like, why do people keep doing this? He's just
no clue.
Just a shitty dude. Like, just a shitty guy.
And it would be quite the recipe, crazy recipe with him, DK Metcalf, and George Pickens together.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
I don't know.
Yeah, that's a tough look.
That is one of the later questions that I snuck up here because we were talking about the Steelers, but you do have them taking defensive back out of Texas, Jahdae Barron. So you had them not reaching for in your board.
I don't think they should. I think Rodgers is going there.
I think so too.
I think maybe if an opportunity to trade back comes up, they would maybe consider taking Milroe or Dart or way off chance Will Howard. I think Will Howard could be a guy that late in this process sneaks up. Like,
cool.
People forget he's fucking built like Josh Allen.
Yeah.
He's built like Josh Allen.
Exactly like
he's built like Josh Allen
to the pound.
Yeah, and he's built like Josh Allen. He's not the athlete Josh Allen is.
No.
But he's built like Josh Allen.
Right.
And I just think Will Howard might be that sneaky guy that everyone's like, how the fuck did he go in the first round?
Yeah.
And I think that if that happens, it's going to be in that 30 to 32. Some team's going to trade up and say, I want the 5th year.
You're kind of talking about X Factor. He's got X Factor.
Yeah. He's literally got X Factor. You watch him in that national championship game. I mean, that Notre Dame. Look, I'm not discrediting Ohio State. They won that game. They beat the crap. It wasn't even close.
Yeah.
That Notre Dame defense was pretty depleted by that point. That's still a very, very well-coached defense.
Totally.
That's a very, very good. Even depleted, that Notre Dame defense was very well-coached.
Yeah.
And Ryan Day and Will Howard had them fucking spinning.
Yep.
Their heads, it looked easy. It looked very easy to do that.
My favorite play was his rollout in the red zone, and then they thought he was running, and he threw it behind him to Judkins, who's just standing there wide open.
Wide open. Yeah. Like, literally, they just fooled everybody. It looked like Rams linebackers out there. They were just completely lost.
And that's a disciplined team, too.
Yeah, so, that was a well-coached team. But, I do think Will Howard has that X factor where it's like, he can put that team on his back.
Yeah.
But again, I wouldn't take Will Howard first overall. You know what I mean? There's there's layers to it, and I don't think the Titans are wrong for taking Cam Ward. Right. Would I personally? No, I think the difference between Cam Ward and Will Levis is smaller than the difference between Abdul Carter and nobody. Because you got to remember, quarterback is like the only position where you really only play one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You only play one. Like, you have more offensive linemen, you have more defensive linemen, you have more edge rushers, corners. Quarterback, you know what they say, like, if you have two, you have none. Yeah. Is Cam Ward that much better than Will Levis, where you just pass entirely on Abdul Carter? I don't. And I don't like Will Levis. That's what it comes down to.
I mean, that's it right there. Okay. Another position we've talked about and mentioned a few of these names, but running back ranking, I want to get your take on that. Genty, and just from what you mentioned earlier, you feel this way too. He's the obvious running back 1.
Yeah.
Who is running back 2? And bonus question for you: is the bigger gap between running back 1 and 2, or is the bigger gap between running back 2 and 3? So, so
it's an interesting question.
Here are my running backs I have for your consideration, and a lot of these guys you have mentioned, but if you want to add anyone else, feel free to. Genty, Omarion Hampton from UNC, the duo of Ohio State running backs, Travion Henderson, who's in the background of that sick visual right there, and his running back mate, Quinshon Judkins. I also added Caleb Johnson out of Iowa, Cam Scatterbo, who you mentioned earlier, out of Arizona State, and Dylan Sampson out of Tennessee, who didn't play in that game at Ohio State. I think he was still hurt. I think he suited up, but never really saw the field beyond the first snap or two. But
I think that the order is pretty close to that.
Okay.
Pure talent, I think it's Genty, Hampton, the Ohio State boys, Henderson and Judkins.
Henderson, then Judkins for you, or is it close?
They are fucking razor thin, dude.
Okay.
Like, gun to my head, I'd go Judkins over Henderson.
Okay.
Dylan Sampson, Caleb Johnson, probably then Cam Scatabo.
Okay.
But I also think Cam Scatabo is going to be like, he's going to play till he's like 35. Like,
yeah.
Do you want to draft Rex Burkhead? No. But are you happy to have Rex Burkhead? Yes. And I think Cam Scatabo, again, not a white guy thing, like not connected that way. I'm just saying, like, Rex Burkhead for years was like one of the better receiving backs in the NFL.
Yeah.
And like, I think that's Cam Scatabo. Like, I think he's just a third down guy. I think he could return kicks.
Yeah.
I quite fucking frankly, I would put him out there on punt coverage team. The guy's a monster.
I mean, he's a bowling
He's
ball.
a fighter.
Yeah.
He's like a fighter. Like, he's probably like,
dude was like throwing up from exhaustion.
Yeah, he's a fighter. Like, literally, do I love Cam Scatabo's talent? No. Do I love Cam Scatabo? Yeah, that's a guy I want in my running back room. Literally, I think he's just going to do what it takes. He's he's the kind of guy that championship teams have.
Cool.
You know what I mean? He's that kind of piece where it's like, realistically, you need to line him up in the slot for a couple snaps. He's fucking going out there, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he's going out. You need him to lead block. He's going out there.
Say like a little crack block or something.
He's going to be a really useful asset. I think Chauncey's special.
Yeah.
I think Hampton's very close to special.
Okay.
The Ohio State boys, it's so tough because they're both so good.
Yeah.
So we never really got to see one of them like super flourish. I like Judkins a little more than Henderson.
Yeah.
Just because I think Judkins is going to have a better spot fitting in the NFL.
Got it. It's weird because it feels like Henderson could be an every down back, which isn't the way it's trending.
Yeah. It's definitely going the opposite direction.
Yeah.
But Dylan Sampson, I do like.
Okay.
I think we're sleeping on like Ollie Gordon a little bit. Remember how like incredible Ollie Gordon was 2 years ago? I just think that didn't go nowhere.
Yeah.
I like Taj Brooks a lot from Texas Tech. I think this is a really good running back class. Like, even the I can never say his last name, the Rutgers running back, Kyle Monangai.
Oh, yeah.
That's my best guess. Kyle Monangai. If you're out there, I'm like, let me know if that was right. I really like him too.
Okay.
There's a lot of guys like Jordan James from Oregon. There's a lot of guys I would want to be in my running back room. I also think this happens to be like a really good running back class.
Okay.
Which unfortunately usually means none of them get drafted.
Yeah.
Because people just keep
I'll
saying,
just wait.
We'll just get the next one.
Yeah.
Because the difference between 2 and 3 is probably bigger than the difference between 1 and 2.
Okay.
But I think the difference between like 3 and 9 is really not that big. I gun to my head outside of Jonty and Hampton, if you just say like, how did they miss on this guy? I'd probably say Ollie Gordon.
Okay. Running back at Oklahoma State.
Yeah, that's the guy I think people would be like, yeah, he was really good. Then he had like a bad year, but like,
got it.
When you're a running back, a lot of it's out of your control. I forget what running back this is, which makes it a much less interesting stat. But it was something along the lines of like the average depth that he got hit was like half a yard behind the line of scrimmage.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So, and he averaged like 5 yards a carry. And it was like, you look at everyone else and they're averaging like 2 yards before they get hit. 1 yard. It's not a lot, but like, that means he's literally never getting a full head of steam. You know what I mean?
Every single yard's after contact.
Like literally the guy's every single thing is like, oh, fuck, I had to make someone miss. And like, I think a lot of times running backs fall into a place where everyone else is so responsible for their success.
Totally.
And it's a really hard position to judge. And that's why NFL teams tend to not like to pay those guys too. Yeah. Because like, I love Saquon Barkley. There isn't a person on the planet that wouldn't say he's not one of the best running backs alive. There's not a person that wouldn't say he's not at worst a top 5 running back. There's just no argument outside of top 5.
Yeah.
There's really no argument outside top 3, but there's just there's no plausible argument outside top 5. Did he ever look this good when it wasn't the Eagles? When it wasn't that Eagles line? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
fit matters even for the best player.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like he went from being like, holy shit, he's carrying this Giants team to holy fuck, how is anyone going to beat the Eagles?
Yep.
You know what I mean? And it was as simple as him just going to somewhere where he didn't have to do all the work.
Yep.
Look at how much better Saquon Barkley looked when he got any fucking help. He literally went 1 for 1 and won the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Like the first year he was on a team where he wasn't the best player, he won the Super Bowl.
And probably could have broke the rushing
he
record.
absolutely, he would have smashed that record.
Yeah.
That's how good he was that he was like, I don't need it. Please get me a Super Bowl. I know I'm great.
And it worked.
And it worked.
Yeah.
And I will say, if they lost that Super Bowl, still the right move.
Oh,
still the right move.
Totally. Yeah.
Wasn't even close. But like,
because that opened up Hurts to get that MVP. You think he's? I mean,
I don't think Saquon. You ever see like the videos? The Eagles released like a lot of media footage, which I thought was cool this year.
Okay.
Like they had a lot of mic'd up things. Fucking Sirianni's going to him. He's like, "You want 20 more yards? Like you're 20 away from like 2,000 or whatever." And Saquon's like, "Nah, let the young guys eat."
That's sweet.
Literally, the guy's just like, he knows. He's like, "I know I'm great.
Yeah.
Can we win now?"
Yeah.
Like I've done that stuff.
Yeah.
And I just think running backs are hard to judge because so many of them are great.
Yep.
And they're stuck.
Yep. Totally. I agree with that.
It's rare a guy is better than his team.
Wow.
It's rare. Like even Adrian Peterson had like Steve Hutchinson and like crazy name to throw out here, like Phil Lodeholt. You remember him? He was like the 6'9" tackle from like Oklahoma. He had a great line in front of him. And like he's one of the greatest ever. But you watch his runs that are great. He's getting 6 yards before he's getting hit, and then it's hard to take him down. Like,
I mean, DeMarco Murray was a good example of that for the Cowboys.
Great example.
And then he got that big deal in Philly with Chip Kelly, and the productivity wasn't there. He had the right system with that. Yeah.
And
now that was gimmicky, but
that was a tough system.
Yeah.
Sorry. That was a tough system for DeMarco Murray to flourish in.
Yeah.
Because he just came from that Dallas.
Like downhill, like. Yeah.
It was just so beautifully set up, and that's the one time Dallas got it right.
All right, we talked about this earlier. This feels like the weirdest position group of this draft. There's always one, and wide receiver seems to be the one in this draft. I want your ranking on these receivers, and I think I want a bonus that I'm just thinking of as we've been talking about these guys. Which of them do you feel are worthy of a first-round grade? And then how many do you think actually do get drafted in the first round? Because everybody seems so high and low on these guys, and some people have been huge fall. Most of them have been falling in their rankings.
Yeah, it's
You
tough.
mentioned Luther Burden, the third out of Mizzou earlier. He's one of the names. Tet McMillan out of Arizona, who we talked about earlier. You have him mocked number 5, the earliest receiver taken, which – for all intents and purposes, that's higher than a lot of people have for the first receiver off the board.
Significantly.
Yeah. Some other names. You had Ibuka at the end of round 1 to the Lions, like we mentioned earlier. Matthew Golden also at the end of round 1 to the Chiefs out of Texas. He seems to be, like you mentioned earlier, the biggest riser because he had a really fast 40 time. I also added a duo of receivers from Iowa State, Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel. And then Trey Harris out of Ole Miss is the last name. Feel free to add whoever you want, but how do you rank those people? And then who's worth round 1? How many are actually going to go in round 1?
Great. Tet is a bona fide round 1 wideout.
Okay.
Mysterious 40-yard dash aside. Yeah. Have you followed that?
No, not much.
He apparently ran like a 4.4 or 4.5, but like no one has any footage of it.
Wow. Okay.
I'm just saying, little Wilt Chamberlain-esque. Yeah. I'm just putting that out there. Like
deep cut, number 1 podcast.
Yeah. Little weird.
Yeah.
Luther Burden, I think, is probably a first-round talent.
Okay.
I'd probably have him at 2. Egbuka 3.
Okay.
Golden 4. Trey Harris, Noel, then Higgins. I think that, like, it's tough to say. I think that McMillan is he would go first round in the last 20 years. He would go first round in every single one. It seems like we're getting to a spot, and this I might be 2 years early on this take, but I'm right.
Okay.
We're getting to a spot where people are realizing that the difference between a wide receiver 2 and a wide receiver 5 is small.
Got it.
And it's like there's only really 2 tiers of wide receivers.
Okay.
Is this guy elite? That's the first tier.
Yeah.
Can I play him every down? That's the only other tier.
Yeah.
There's no like T. Higgins is in that first tier. He's an elite wideout. He's an elite wide receiver. So many guys are not. Like, look at Tyler Boyd.
Yeah.
Like, great example of a guy like no one should want that in their first round. He wasn't a first rounder, but there's so many of these guys that are just not worth it.
Totally.
That are getting taken in the first round. And we're slowly going to see kind of like that running back transition.
Interesting.
Where it's like, okay, look, if you're incredible, we'll take you in the first. Other than that, sorry, bud. The guy I could get in the second's not much worse.
I mean, we just talked about a few earlier. If you're not like a Malik Neighbors type talent, then I mean,
you're kind of shit out of luck. It's like a bad spot to be. And like the NFL really values wide receivers. Like they really do. Because again, most teams are playing 3 regularly.
Yeah.
So you need 3 guys that you're confident in playing
all the
every
time.
single down.
Yeah.
And a team like, look at the Super Bowl. The Eagles have 2 first-round talent wide receivers on their roster. One of them they traded for after he was good already. There was no risk.
Yeah.
The other one was a Heisman Trophy winner.
Yeah.
Studs.
Yeah.
Who's the 3rd best Eagles wideout? Does it fucking matter?
No.
They have 2 studs. They're done.
Yeah.
Like, the Chiefs look lost out there. They had the ghost of DeAndre Hopkins out there.
Yeah.
Xavier Worthy could be a stud. I don't know this Chiefs.
It just didn't feel like they were ready with him. They used him mostly gimmicky, and it was like, oh, we need him to play every down.
Yeah, and like Rashee Rice got hurt. I don't think Rashee Rice is a stud. I think he's like like Michael Thomas-esque, where he's just inheriting a lot of targets.
Yeah.
I just think that teams are going to slowly kind of catch up to like you're a stud or you're not.
Interesting.
And I'm telling you that I'm right. I might just be 2 years early on this, but I think you're going to start seeing a switch where teams are like, I am not going out and getting a guy that might be a 3rd wide out on my team.
Unless it's so very obvious, like Jeremiah Smith when he comes out. Like
wide receivers bust so often.
Totally.
We
talk about it all. Yeah.
They literally, like, it's one of the positions that you watch and you're like objectively right now, I'm just asking you, no, there's no strings attached. DK Metcalf. Do you really want that guy as a number 1 wide on your team?
No.
I don't either. Like,
because even though he is productive, it's not worth the others. Like,
it's just not. Like, look at the Rams. They literally had Cooper Kupp, who was a nobody, came out of Eastern Washington, and then he was incredible in that scheme. The second they found another Cooper Kupp,
he's gone.
See, dude, we got Puka Nacua. We're great, and same thing's gonna happen to Puka Nacua. Some other guys could come in, and Puka's a baller. Like Puka's, he's a really quite Cam Scatabo-esque with the way he plays. He's like, I've seen Puka Nacua, instead of stepping out of bounds, run straight forward into a guy for no extra yardage. Just to fucking prove a point.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm not going out of bounds.
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna have to tackle me every single time.
And smiling like a crazy
and then
person.
he gets up and he's happy as hell. I just think we're gonna start seeing that shift. I think the Seahawks, who have a good analytical team, realized that. And they were like, okay, we have JSN. Having DK's DK's a number 2.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not throwing the ball to DK on like 3rd and 8 in a crowd. I just can't. He's a deep ball guy. Like,
do you think the Steelers are kind of in a mess then? Like,
no,
Pickens
I
and
think
Metcalf together?
I think that you'd rather have more options than no options.
Got it.
I don't think I'm trading assets and signing DK to that big deal.
Got it.
And he could go out there and get 1,500 yards and 10 touchdowns this year. I don't think it makes a difference. I think someone else there's guys like that. There's guys like that are available elsewhere. So wideout's in a weird spot.
Yeah.
So that's why you're going to see them fall. I think the NFL's starting to catch on. You're either a stud, you either do something special, or you don't.
Yeah.
And that's that.
Okay. So I know you said McMillan's bona fide first, Burden's first round talent.
Yeah.
Is Ibuka enough of a borderline person?
Yeah, he's a borderline guy.
So you have like 2 for sure first round talents.
Yeah.
Not saying that's how many are going to go, but based on your mock, I think you have 4 going in the first round, if I'm not mistaken.
Thought it was 3. I thought
it might be 3.
Thought it was McMillan, Egbuka, and
Yes,
Golden.
you're right. Because even though you like Burden, you acknowledge he's been falling down boards for whatever reason.
Out of nowhere.
So you're right. You have 3 receivers. You have McMillan in the top 5, and then the other 2 are at the very end in the last 5 picks. You have Ibuka 28 to the Lions and Golden at 31 to the Chiefs. So yeah, you have 3 first rounders, and then 2 worth the talent. So
I think this is going to be an insanely hot take. No one's going to even know who the fuck I'm talking about unless you're like a deep ball knower.
Deep ball knower, baby.
Nick Nash, who just won the Triple Crown in college football.
Okay.
He was a Biletnikoff finalist, lost it to Travis Hunter. He came in, he's like 6'2", I think.
Okay.
He came in as a quarterback, and he immediately kind of became a productive wide receiver. It's just a guy that finds a way to get open. I think that's like, there's your Julian Edelman. You know, he's like, you know what I mean? And like, teams, like, do you really want to take a guy at the end of the first or the beginning of the second when like Nick Nash might be there in the 6th, 7th? He might be there as an undrafted free agent. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like,
Nick Nash out of San Jose State.
Yes, Triple Crown winner.
So now you can be a deep ball knower.
Now you can be a deep ball knower. Tell your friends.
Yeah.
When he gets drafted, you could be at the bar
Nick
and you could be
Nash,
like, Nick Nash, former quarterback.
Yeah. Former quarterback, Triple Crown winner.
Yeah, 6'2". The guy finds a way to get open. But I just think that the line is thinning on wide receivers, and I think it's actually because there's an abundance of talent. There's so many good wideouts.
And it's a lot of productivity out of the late round guys. So if you're going to spend a premium pick on a guy that busts, and you have so many examples of a later pick, just naturally. That's what happened. You're right with running backs. I love that take.
That eventually there was just so many running backs that were good and playable that you were like, why am I doing this? Like, why am I investing this position at all? And, you know, you still see it with the stud running backs. You see it all the time.
Yeah.
Even like, who's the Jaguars running back? LSU guy.
Tank Bigsby?
No.
Oh,
I got to look it up.
Oh, Fournette.
Yes, Leonard Fournette.
Yeah.
He probably wasn't great, and he went like 4th.
Yeah.
You know, these guys still get taken.
Yeah.
It's just more a matter of like, are they special?
Yeah.
They thought Fournette was Peterson. He just wasn't.
Yeah.
Which is fine. Sometimes you swing and you miss, but like, I think people are going to catch on with wide receivers soon. I think it's going to tip where people are like, yeah, I'm just going to get my wide receiver in the 2nd round.
Yeah. I like that. Hot take.
It's a safe place for it. I'm right, and I might be just too early on.
Got it.
But I'm right.
I love it.
It's going to come to fruition. Come back to this. If you're watching this on Instagram Reels, it's because 2 years later, only one wide receiver got taken in the first, and I was right.
Yep.
That's exactly why it came back.
And it starts a whole trend. Yep.
Yeah, this is why.
Okay, sticking on the offense, tight end, I teased this earlier as well. You mentioned Tyler Warren before once. Yeah. Which Big Ten tight end do you like more? These are far and away. Do you agree with this that they're the top 2 tight ends in the draft?
Yeah. I think there's other good tight ends, but I think they're the top 2.
So Tyler Warren out of Penn State and Colston Loveland out of Michigan. Which one do you like more?
Tyler Warren.
Okay.
God, I love both these guys though.
Yeah.
You know I'm a big tight end guy.
Yeah.
I think Tyler Warren is going to be like his quarterback's best friend.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Colston Loveland might be like a better Cole Kmet, which is like obviously an incredible floor to have, if you can even realistically call that a floor.
Yeah.
Both guys are going to be really good. Both guys are going to be really, really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's a weird year because remember the year Hawkinson and Fant went in the first?
Yeah.
Okay. I remember watching both those guys at Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, they both came from Iowa.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, Fant's really, really good when he's out there, but they never take Hawkinson off the field.
Yeah.
And it's like, even if Hawkinson wasn't catching everything or like doing splashy plays, the coaching staff there said, I'm not taking him off the field.
He needs to be on the field.
He needs to be on the field either way. So I think that both of these guys are like Hawkinson in the sense of like,
they were on the field a bunch.
These 2 guys are going to be on the field forever.
Yeah.
You're going to get great value out of them. I think Laporta, who I loved, I was very high on Laporta coming out.
Shout out Laporta. You were
Yeah.
very high on him in a year where not a lot of folks were.
I watch a lot of tight ends.
Yeah.
I just think it's really interesting tape to watch, quite honestly. But I think Laporta's developed more as just like he's kind of like a chip and go guy. Like he's getting big plays. How many times do you see Laporta catch something on like 3rd and 8? You really don't. You see him get like a 50-yard touchdown on a wheel because he's chip blocking, going out. Lions fooled him. I think that Colston and Warren are both guys that are like, they're so talented, they're going to be catching 3rd and 8s.
Got it.
and getting those 40-yard touchdowns. Yeah, they're studs. They're just flat studs.
You have Tyler Warren going number 7 overall to the New York Jets,
who desperately need a tight end.
Yes. And you have Colston Loveland going 14 to the Indianapolis Colts,
who also desperately need a tight end.
Whichever quarterback wins that job would be quarterback's best friend.
It's a really good year to desperately need a tight end in that zone. And also, I love Mason Taylor at LSU.
Okay.
There's a lot of I like Elijah Arroyo out of Miami.
You mentioned him
there's a lot of tight ends and stuff that I do like.
Yeah.
I tend to watch the top 10 guys' entire college careers for tight end because it is one of my favorite positions to scout. So I do fall in love with them a little bit more than average. But gun to my head, if I had to give you a guy that teams are how'd we miss on this guy? I'd be Terrence Ferguson.
Okay.
Yeah. Out of Oregon.
Oh, he was a big go-to target for
he's 6'5". He's kind of a monster.
Yeah,
all things considered. I just like him.
Yeah,
just think that's a guy that does get open a lot. I also have on my list here, literally reading my own notes. Tight ends. I have dog shit category, and I have Luke Lachey from Iowa on there.
Oh man, that's a legendary Ohio State lineman's son.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, whoops.
Yeah.
He looks so lost.
Yeah.
He reminds me a bit of and he's a big boy.
Yeah.
He's 6'6", 252.
Yeah.
So he's just like those big guys. Does not play very big.
Oh yeah.
Does not play very big, and that's gonna be a problem in the NFL.
Yeah. Yeah. He his dad Jim Lachey played in the NFL for years, and he's the analyst for the radio called Ohio State.
Go Bucks. Sorry,
Go
bud.
Bucks alert.
My bad.
Hopefully you prove him wrong.
Yeah. Do you have 2 sons by any chance? Going 50% is not bad. That's not.
Man. Okay, so good year to want a tight end. Some deeper ones beyond the top 2, but Tyler Warren and Colston Loveland figure to be first-round picks. So if you need one of those guys, it's a good one. I really like Tyler Warren. It felt like when they didn't get him the ball, Penn State lost, and a good example of that was that Ohio State game. He was responsible for Penn State's biggest plays, and then they stopped targeting him, and largely Ohio State's defense probably took him away. But
I also think that Tyler Warren, he didn't dominate.
Yeah.
And he could have dominated, and everyone saw that he could have dominated, but
saw flashes.
That was just a weird Penn State offense, too. I think that team way overperformed. I think it's a well-coached team. And I think a lot of times, if you were to say Ryan Day literally just won a national championship, curled world champion, Ryan Day,
A1 since day one, never doubted him for a second. #1 podcast listeners.
That's a lie. But what would you rank him out of 100 as a coach right now? Full, all bits down, down on the table.
Given the current context,
right?
Yeah,
everything you know. About him.
Probably a 90.
Okay, say. Elite.
Yeah.
That's one of the better coaches you could possibly ask
no
for.
doubt about it. Great recruiter. Great game plan when he's back against the wall, but sometimes gets in his own head.
Totally agree. How many stud Ohio State offensive guys are in this draft?
There are a couple borderline, but no studs. You're right.
Exactly. And it's that's what happens with really good teams.
Yeah.
Is they tend not to lean on a guy too often. And or really well coached teams, I should say. Because that LSU team was incredible.
Yeah.
That LSU team was not a well-coached team. That Joe Burrow, that was just, we literally have 5 guys that are better than your best guy on the field at all times.
Yeah.
Those guys are all studs, and they looked like studs. Well-coached teams tend to have guys that look like they underperform.
Yeah.
I think Tyler Warren kind of falls into that category.
Okay. Like that. Okay. I like this from a #1 podcast listener. How do Will Campbell's T-Rex arms affect his draft position?
I think T-Rex arms are a little bit overrated. I don't think teams care that much.
Okay.
I think when you're as sound as Will Campbell, though, you can make a switch inside and your career salvaged.
Got it.
Remember Robert Gallery?
Yeah.
Terrible tackle.
Yeah.
Great guard.
Had a long career at guard, yeah.
I think worst case scenario, that's what you're looking at. You're looking at a guy who kicks it inside
and
lasts forever as a floor.
Yeah.
So, like,
And
maybe you get a
and
franchise.
he could work out as a tackle. Yeah.
Maybe you get a franchise tackle. You definitely get a really good lineman.
That's awesome.
Really good linemen are very rare in the NFL. They're just rare. They
those
just
you do miss on those too. That seems to be quite a miss
that's,
lately. So
yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, I've watched. Remember, like Billy Price, like the Bengals took Ohio State guy.
Go Bucks. Man.
Go Bucks.
Yeah.
Billy Price was like touted as like technically sound. He got to the NFL. He got fucking lambasted.
Yep.
Dude. Like he was terrible.
Yeah.
He barely belonged on the field. Who was the other center that the Vikings took? Terrible.
Yeah.
Does not belong on an NFL football field. Just absolutely bad football player. So, like, getting Will Campbell, who you're confident is not going to be bad, is really good.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Like, Garrett Brett, no one kicks from center to outside. You know what I mean? Like, if you're not good at center, you're gone.
Yeah.
There's levels to playing offensive line in the NFL. And, like, the worst guys are probably the guards. And the centers need to be really good. It's why you see teams draft centers, because they're like, they're quarterbacking the line.
Yeah.
But like, you don't need Will Campbell to do that. Will Campbell can play. And what's fun about tackles is there's literally like stages to it, which I find interesting. If you're not good at left tackle, all right, we're going to swing you to a right tackle. We're going to see if right tackle works. Oh, you're not good at right tackle? All right, let's try you a left guard. Oh, you're not good at left guard? Oh, let's try a right guard. And by that point, you've probably played 5 years in the NFL.
Yeah.
Okay, it didn't work out. You know what I mean? It's not like a wideout where, like, if you're terrible, you just never see the field.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the Bengals guy, the Jermaine Burton.
Yeah.
They drafted him in the third or whatever. He's barely seeing a football field.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not happening. Offensive linemen will get a long leash because they're rare. Good offensive line plays really rare.
And you can't always teach the size, too.
Yeah, and you can't. And he's been playing with those arms his whole life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He looked good with those arms in college. It's not going to go crazy.
He's done enough to be a potential first-round talent. You have him going number 6 to the Raiders.
He's playing in the SEC, too. He's not playing in, like, coastal conference. You know what I mean?
Totally,
He's not playing in some shitty conference. He's going against NFL-sized guys.
Yeah.
Whether or not they're NFL talent guys, whatever. He's going against NFL-sized guys.
Got it. Okay, along those lines, offensive tackle ranking for you. I mentioned you have Membu going earliest in your mock draft. Out of him, the aforementioned Will Campbell, Kelvin Banks Jr. out of Texas. I added Josh Simmons or Jimmy Simmons out of Ohio State.
He goes by Jimmy?
Yeah, he does by some of the coaches. Yeah, crazy.
Okay, cool. Jimmy's definitely not a nickname for Josh.
Yeah, not at all. And then I added Josh Connerly Jr. out of Oregon.
Yeah, I like Josh
whoever.
Connerly,
how would you rank those tackles?
Campbell, Membau, Banks, Connerly, Simmons.
Okay.
Jimmy Simmons.
Yeah.
Never heard that before in my fucking life.
Yeah. You'll hear the coaches say it, but mostly like the coverage around here just says Josh. So
yeah, this is also a draft where people are like pretty high on tackles. Like there's
I mentioned the first few. You have Kelvin Banks going 13 to the Dolphins. You have Simmons going 18 to the Seahawks.
Yeah, I love that pick actually.
Yeah.
Darnold's elite with time. He's just if you frazzle Darnold at all, it's gone.
You saw it down the stretch.
Yeah, it's he looks like me. Like that's bad.
So you had those 4 going in the first round.
Yeah, this is a good offensive line draft. Like it really is like a
cool.
Marcus and Bow. I know you're gonna ask me.
Yeah.
Trevor Penning Award.
Oh.
Yeah. So the reason Trevor Penning was bad, and he was always bad, and he's been terrible in the NFL. It's like routine. Like if he does a false start or lets up a sack, Prem and I'll send each other like a text. So like, there's your boy. Like I knew he was going to be terrible. Marcus and Bow out of Purdue doesn't have it. Like it's just not there.
Yeah.
He looks a lot like Penning. The reason Penning was bad was he needed to be bigger and stronger than the guy across from him.
Yeah.
And in the NFL, one of the more interesting things that people don't realize is offensive tackles, most of the time, most of their value comes from them taking a step backwards at first.
Yeah.
They lose leverage.
Yeah.
So
especially pass protection. Yeah.
Exactly. They lose leverage. And it's more about like upper body strength and fighting. Yeah. Whether or not you could drive someone through with your legs, like rarely, if ever, come. It just, you know what I mean? It comes every now and then. And like, unless you're the Eagles,
Yeah.
But like Trevor Penning, like he'd probably be an okay Eagle, but he wouldn't make that line.
Yeah.
That line's all better than how
he'd be
he
a backup.
is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think Marcus Mbow's just like that. Like I watch him at Purdue, and I'm like, more like Purdue because this guy does not have it. It's not there. I do think I think he could move to guard and be okay.
Okay.
Because that's more of like someone's right in your face and you're kind of in a fight.
Yeah.
You're in a little bit of a knife fight. Like that's Aaron Donald literally trained with a guy knife fighting. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah. Like he literally trained with a guy like, oh, he's a psychopath. Yeah.
He seems like.
But like those are where you want those guys. That's where you want like your brawlers. So you don't want them at offensive tackle.
Yeah.
You want
your
you want
enforcers to be.
Yeah. You want technicians on the tackle. Like Joe Thomas was out fishing on his fucking boat when he got picked first overall by the Browns.
Yeah.
That's the kind of guy you want. You want a guy that's just going to show up, kick ass, go home.
Yeah, business.
All business.
Yep. Okay.
Like the Bengals took Orlando Brown. Or they signed Orlando Brown. I liked Orlando Brown. Terrible mistake. It's just not what you need from Joe Burrow. Like you need technicians out there.
Yeah.
It's tough. Offensive line's really tough right
now. Okay. I do ask this each NFL draft episode. I want to get your take on which position group is strongest and which position group is weakest in this draft.
Running back strongest. I think there's like 8 good ones.
Okay.
There's 8 guys that can play in the NFL.
Wow.
Like that means every single round you can get a running back that you can play significant time in the NFL.
No excuse if your team needs a running back.
Yeah, if your team needs a running back,
Dallas.
There's one.
Looking at you, Dallas.
There's one there for you.
Yeah.
Weakest, I'm probably going to say quarterback.
Okay.
There's just no one special. You know what I mean? Like most drafts, there's someone like Caleb Williams took like a zillion sacks. I think he took like 70-something sacks or whatever it was. Still special.
Yeah.
Sorry. He's still
for what
special.
it's worth, they invested in offensive line this offseason, so
he's still special. Jaden Daniels, special.
Yeah.
There's special guys in a lot of drafts, and when there aren't, you really feel it. And like EJ Manuel, remember that draft?
Yeah.
Not special. Kenny Pickett, not special. All these quarterbacks that end up not special,
Yeah.
And I'm confused as to how like Cam Ward is running away with first overall pick. Like when they were up in the air for a while, it was like, oh, good.
Yeah.
Like that's how it should be.
It was a real conversation. Like, are they going to maybe trade down or
it absolutely was. And then I remember that because people were like, who's going to trade up for fucking Cam Ward?
Yeah.
Like who's trading up to get Cam Ward? And no one is.
Right.
That should be your first sign.
Yep.
That's bad. And there was talk when, and this is insane, it was very light talk. Remember the Bengals were like, yeah, we'll field calls on like Burrow or whatever.
Yeah.
And teams were offering them like 5 first-round picks, whatever it was, like multiple firsts. And it's like, yeah, that's how you know you have your guy.
Clue.
That's your clue. That's if you can trade down, don't draft that quarterback. Like,
that's a great. There's your tag.
Yeah, like there it is.
If you can trade down, don't.
Yeah, like if you have the first overall pick and teams are calling you for it, I'd hesitate.
Probably means there's a given. Yeah,
unless you have a guy you like the Bears didn't like Bryce Young. Okay, they just didn't like Bryce Young.
Yeah.
That's why they did the trade down in the first place. And I mean, I'm not trying to be rude, but like the Bears fucking nailed it.
They nailed
it. You know what
that.
I mean? Like I kind of like Bryce Young still. I think there's a lot left of Bryce Young. I don't think.
Yeah,
people say he's washed. He's not even close to washed.
No, I think he proved at least that he's worth.
Yeah, he's not even. It's not even close to over for him. I do think benching him was really good.
Which was cool to see, like him actually produce and
I mean, he was a tech.
He handled it
like a pro.
Yep.
Never complain. Just went out
easy
there.
to root for guys like that. Yeah. So.
Great. And I don't think it was wrong of them to trade up for him.
Yeah.
But like if they could go back in time, would they?
Right.
No. And
because then they would have had Caleb Williams the next year.
Cam Ward feels more like Bryce Young to me than anything else. You know what I mean? Like sure it might work out, but like hindsight, you might feel pretty stupid.
Yep. Okay, so weakest position group. Just for you number one podcast listeners, the other kind of quintessential weak position groups that I had in contention were linebacker, interior offense line. You mentioned was deep for tackles, and then safety always seems to be a pretty weak position group. But
yeah, I mean, they're just hard to coach.
Yeah.
And linebacker, like interior linebackers, you're talking about like thumpers. These guys are like,
yeah,
going extinct.
yeah, it feels almost. You're right. The college game, that's where you feel it the most, I think.
Yeah, I mean, really, it starts, and I'll make this quick. It starts at high school. It's like as high school kind of evolves, guys going to college have no idea how to play this way.
Yeah.
Some guys get it. Like you'll see, like some guys come in and they know what they're doing. When they don't, college teams really they know the clock ticks.
Yeah.
The second a guy steps foot on campus, clock started. I don't have a ton of time to teach you how to play this position if I need you. What are you good at? Let's do that.
Yep.
You know what I mean? That's a lot of what college does. And then the NFL, not the same because they do have the time. They basically have infinite time. But do they really want to draft a guy
We
that's...
can't teach you the basics. Like,
yeah, you should know that.
Yeah.
The NFL's used to having a pipeline where guys come in knowing this stuff.
Yep.
We're getting to a spot where they don't as much, which is fine. It's just like college football and the NFL are veering in very different directions right now. College football is not cyclical. College football evolves. It basically just evolves. The NFL is very cyclical.
Yep.
Yeah, we're
seeing it. Yeah.
We're about to get back to the running back era. Like we're about to come because now linebackers got so small and fast, they're covering wideouts and teams are like, fuck. You know what I mean? Like that sucks.
Guess we'll run the ball.
Guess I gotta run it down your throat. Like look at Josh Allen. He's basically a running back. Like James Cook.
I was just thinking the Ravens had a really good season.
Derrick Henry.
The Lions had 2 running backs.
All the teams that
Obviously,
were good.
Obviously, Saquon, you know.
Look at how, if you have to think about how important running back is, look at the Niners without CMC.
Yep.
They went from literally being in the Super Bowl to getting washed around.
Yep. Totally
it's cyclical.
Everything.
And college football's not. So they're just not in March step right now.
Yep.
They're just not in March step. So it's a little weird.
That's why you see someone like Genty being such a hot commodity all of a
People
sudden.
are like, I want him. You know what I mean? And like Boise State didn't do shit.
No, they didn't. Okay. Love this question too. The hypothetical starting a team from scratch, nobody on your team. We talked about these 2 guys. You have them as top 3 picks. Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter. Who would you take?
Abdul Carter.
Yeah?
Yeah, and I don't even think it's relatively close. I think the best way to build a team is by getting guys that are going to disrupt what the other team has to do. And if you're starting a team from scratch in this hypothetical, you don't know what your team's identity is.
Yeah.
You can't really build your identity. It kind of comes together naturally.
Disrupting the quarterback is...
Yeah, it's and like playing good defense
exempt from identity, basically. Like
it's almost
it's
not
part of
identity.
everybody.
Yeah, it's not identity. It's just not. Your identity is basically what you do offensively.
Yeah.
Everyone in the NFL wants to play good defense.
Yeah.
There's not a single team, maybe the Bengals, that are saying like defense doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like fuck it. Every single team wants to do the same exact thing on
Some
defense.
are showing a little bit more than others, like someone like the Texans who traded away their offense for defense. Yeah.
I mean, there's just every single team wants to get after the quarterback and they want to stop the run. They want to force you into every single team plays defense almost the same exact way. They're just attacking it from different angles.
Yeah.
Offense, on the other hand, that's really where your team's identity is built. And again, I think your identity gets built kind of naturally. Look at how the Eagles won the Super Bowl with Nick Foles. Entirely different than how they just won the Super Bowl. And it's still Jeffrey Lurie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's still those guys. It's just like the team's identity changed and they were smart enough to capitalize on it. And I think that really that's where it comes down to. So like you take Travis Hunter, like defensive back, like everyone wants good defensive back. There's not enough. There's not 60 good defensive backs in the world. There's just not. And I just think that even knowing that he's going to be a good one, having a good defensive lineman is going to make both of your defensive backs better.
Yeah.
That's really kind of where
definitely.
Yeah.
Is Abdul Carter your overall number 1 prospect?
Yeah, I actually think in most years he would go first overall.
Okay.
He was nuts. Like, he was. I remember watching that Ohio State game and being like, Abdul Carter could be the reason they make this happen.
Yeah.
Like at one point I was like, if Abdul Carter's at his absolute finest, Penn State might go on a fucking run.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because in college football, if you get someone a little bit behind, you can kind of force them to play a certain way.
Oh, yeah. And they just tee off. Yeah.
Kind of play the chess with it a little bit.
Yeah.
More than the NFL, especially because they're kids. They're not as composed, things like that. I just think Abdul Carter is probably as good a prospect as Myles Garrett. And
wow.
there's a world where the Browns are now going to get both.
Wow.
Like,
got it. Okay. Which position groups have a clear lock for top prospects? Essentially, the number one at that position is a very obvious one. I assume you've already mentioned Abdul Carter at edge as an example.
I think there's only two.
Okay.
I think there's only two, maybe three.
Okay.
I think it's Abdul Carter,
Yeah.
Travis Hunter at defensive back,
Okay.
almost just because he's so much better than the next guy.
Got it.
And like, there's a chance he ends up being the second best wideout from this class too.
Wow,
You know what
yeah.
I mean? Like, and then Jahad Campbell. And
Okay.
that's basically because there's just not that many.
So not Genty.
No, I think there's a really good chance Hampton ends up a
Okay.
better pro than him. And I love Jency. I think he's great.
Yeah. I mean, the question was obvious one. So even if you're questioning
that's
it,
really
I think
what it
that's
comes down to. Like,
Um,
I think no one would draft an edge over Abdul Carter.
Yeah.
It's just not happening.
Same with you mentioned Jihad Campbell as a linebacker at Alabama. You have him going in round one, like we mentioned
So the rounds,
earlier.
I think, yeah.
Yeah.
And then Hunter, no one's drafting a defensive back before Travis Hunter gets
Yeah.
drafted. Cam Ward, I just don't think he's going to be the first overall pick. I just
Yeah.
don't know if he's
Not
definitely the best. I think Sanders, I would probably rather have Sanders than Ward
That's
at
kind of
one.
how I've been feeling too. But
Just because, like, culture-wise, and I think Sanders is going to attract other athletes like him.
yeah.
You know what I mean? I think he's going to hold people accountable.
Yeah.
Like-
I mean, they both get the ball quickly to their players, but I just love, I don't know. Sanders is used to playing with big, notable targets. So
Yeah, it could have. Both guys are risky.
Yeah. Okay. Favorite day 2 and or day 3 prospects.
Hell
In
yeah.
other words, this is the annual Thomas Lewis,
Bailey Zappe.
Clayton Tune
Tune,
Award.
yeah.
Yes. You've hit on deep cut quarterback prospects that have made starts in the NFL. Both Bailey Zappe and Clayton Tune have done
I think
so.
it's like maybe my favorite thing ever is when I tell you, I'm like, I don't know if this guy's going to be good.
Yeah.
I guarantee he's good enough in practice to start. His
Yeah.
coaches are going to believe in him. They're going to start. And Bailey Zappe happened. I was like, I guaranteed it was going to happen.
Yes.
And it happened. I was like, it's happening.
Yep.
Then I was like, let me double down. Clayton Tune's very similar. Bam! Like,
Hit 'em
nailed
both.
it.
Yeah.
Again, like, not someone I think is going to be great. Someone I guarantee is going to
At
they're going to
least
get a
yeah.
shot.
So deep cut quarterback with the chance to start, and then if you have any other, you mentioned a few sprinkled in, but if you have any other prospects that you like that
Yeah.
aren't being talked about,
Curtis Rourke is probably my deep ball,
Oh,
my
yeah.
deep prospect. Yeah, I just think he's going to show enough that some team's going to say, well, maybe. You know what I mean? Like, some team
Yeah.
is going to pop in and be like, oh, maybe he could do it. Nick Nash, wide receiver.
yes, mentioned him earlier.
That's my wide receiver deep cut. Cam Scatabo, I just think in like the 5th or later,
yeah,
you're just getting a good football player.
Yep.
Just point blank, you're getting a good football player. You got to find out what to do with him later. My deep cut in this class of the guy I think is like, if I had to place money on a late round pick being good, Billy Bowman from Oklahoma, safety.
okay,
He is so tailor-made to be in this transitional period of fast coverage linebacker or safeties and guys that could tackle.
okay,
He's going to perfectly be a guy that hits that turn.
all right,
Perfectly. To the point where he's such a solid tackler. If he wasn't undersized, he'd be a first-round pick.
wow,
People just don't watch him because that Oklahoma team was not good.
they were not good.
It is a well-coached team.
Yeah,
Especially defensively.
Yeah.
It's just a good defensive
Yeah.
coach. It just is what it is. I think Billy Bowman's going to be someone they're like, damn, had
okay.
he go there, you know what I mean? Like,
All
had
right.
he fall. So whoever gets him is going to, that's a guy I would look out for.
So you got a few. For what it's worth, Curtis Rourke was the quarterback at Indiana this past year. We already mentioned Nick Nash, San Jose State wide receiver. Cam Scatabo out of Arizona State. But Billy Bowman, I like that. Oklahoma safety. Okay. Thomas, now's my chance. Is there anything that any prospects or questions that you feel like we missed here that you think the number one podcast listeners should know about?
Besides Curtis Rourke, I think an important thing to take away from this draft, every single team gets better at the draft.
Yeah.
Okay. Every single team walks away afterwards and they're like, we got 5 great guys. We got 5 guys that can play. We filled some holes. This draft uniquely is set up in a way that teams are going to win this draft. Some team is going to get 3 guys that are better than the 1 guy you got.
Yeah.
And it's a really, really good year to pick at the top. And normally the value contract-wise doesn't add up. But, like, the Browns could turn it all around literally, like, in 3 days.
Got it.
They could turn the whole thing around. And I think it's as we get to an analytical point in NFL and we're kind of hitting like a peak of analytics, teams are realizing this and you're going to see shit and question it. They're just a step ahead of you.
Got it.
They just figured something out and everyone's going to start figuring it out. Cause like you see it a lot. You see it all the time. When a guy falls, suddenly he free falls, right?
Yeah.
Suddenly a guy, cause other teams are calling. People don't realize this actually happens. Team will call. Why'd you pass on him?
Yeah.
What did you see? And the other team tells them nothing. The other team gives them nothing. The other team doesn't say he's not strong enough.
Yeah.
The other team doesn't, he's not fast enough. They're like, oh, we just liked our guy more. That freaks the fuck out of the other team.
What do they know that we don't?
What do they know? And they're like, I'm not risking it. Bang. Give me someone else.
It's like that movie Draft Day.
Oh, yeah. I guess that does happen at draft day. But I think that they did know, right? Didn't they say? Yeah. I was going to say it was obvious or whatever. But that actually does happen. And I think if you see someone like Sanders fall, it's not because he's not good enough. It's because that team basically asked the Will Levis question. Is this guy better enough than what I currently have to pass on making my team better elsewhere?
Got it. Okay.
Almost choked on my words on that one.
We never choke on our words. We always double down here.
I powered through.
There we go. Okay. That does it for the number one podcast listener submitted questions and some sprinkled in ones for me. So hopefully you number one podcast listeners can be the expert of your own draft watch party. If you're talking a ball with your friends, feel free to steal all of Thomas's knowledge and claim it as your own. That's what we're here for. Yeah.
I want to make you look good. That's my job. I want you to look smarter than your friends.
So don't play yourself. You already know you're going to listen to this episode, but make sure you run it back even closer to the draft so you're up to date on things. But Thomas, I do still want to wrap up our very first edition in video form of the number one podcast
in studio, the beautiful Sycamore Studio.
Sycamore Studio, shout out Plain City, Ohio, Sycamore Studio.
Gina, you're the best.
Yes. But I still want to leave the number one podcast listeners with our tradition of what you feeling, and then wrap up with my too much sense. So, in honor of what you feeling, I want to share number one podcast listeners. What I'm feeling, the draft's coming up. I have an annual tradition of watching the NFL draft with friends. Love getting to do it, and it's turned into quite a fun thing.
Yeah, it's always a cool hang.
Shout out my cousin Rush, who's a fellow co-host of this.
Good podcast.
Yeah. We just celebrated him, so got back from a trip. And then, of course, getting to see you finally. We finally get to hang out.
Shout out the boy, yeah.
Yeah, you made the trip here in person, and we get to do this cool setup. So
too many
couldn't ask for more here.
Too many Slack messages, not enough Hangouts. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, exactly. And a special shout out to my wife who just had her birthday. So that's what I'm feeling lately, too.
Yeah, actually, that's mine, too. Shout out Steph, because, you know, He's
also former co-host.
Yeah, he's off at bachelor parties. All right, he's hanging out. Steph's doing the hard work at home. I arrived to their home at 1 a.m. She was pleasant as could be. Had to be a nightmare situation for her. She's like, here's this guy. The guest bedroom had to be made. Like, I show up. She's like, hey, it's so nice to meet you. I'm like, dude, I couldn't fake this right now. Like, she did a good job.
She's the best. I'm not telling anybody out there that doesn't know that. But
and also, side note, make the 8-hour drive. Yeah. Make the 8-hour drive. It's not that much. It's not crazy.
No, it means a lot. It really
go
does.
See your friends. Like, literally go see your friends. Go do cool shit with your friends and support what your friends are doing. It's that simple. There's nothing else to it.
It's the easiest. It's most of the time really free to support your people.
Yeah,
so,
literally.
Yeah.
And even if it costs money sometime, who the fuck cares? What are you going to give it to Target? Grow up.
You're the man, though.
Yeah.
What are you feeling, man? I know you shouted out Steph. That was very nice of you.
Honestly, just feeling like everything's going really well. Vibes are good right now. World's crumbling across, you know, all around us. Feeling pretty optimistic that we'll pull out of this, though.
I like that. And hopefully we give a little break from if you're struggling with what's going on. If it's crumbling around you, hopefully this is a nice break. Focus on the draft.
Yeah. Shit sucks, but largely you're unimportant and have no say. But so, like, don't let it kill you.
But you are important to us.
Yeah, to us, you really matter.
Yeah.
I'm like, and what else really matters is Magic Mind.
Hell yeah.
The only thing that was able to get us through this 2-hour podcast.
Oh yeah, Magic Mind. The price went up. Okay. You already know, number one podcast listeners, I like to wrap up with my too much sense. I finally get to talk to you as opposed to you listening to me. Too much sense really important to me. I like to leave with a little tidbit. We just had one right there with drive the extra a little bit for your friends, but this was from Jay Shetty, who I love his content. He had this quote, you lose nothing by wanting everyone to win. You win nothing by wanting everyone to lose. That's an absolute bar from him, and it goes along the lines of what we were just talking about. Rooting for your people to win is, in my estimation, the only way to be. If you find yourself not doing so, maybe it's time to evaluate that relationship and why you feel that way. If you sense that out of someone else, maybe it's a sign that that relationship's run its course. Nothing wrong with that. And also, like we just talked about, remember at this moment in time, you might not be winning, but someone close to you winning and you winning aren't mutually exclusive. Just because they're winning in a time where you might not be doesn't mean that you can't celebrate their dubs.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
That's great advice.
And part of that comes from my sincere belief in karma. I think the good energy that flows with you rooting for your people is contagious. It's empowering. And it makes it so much more natural for people to want to see you win. And I think you find yourself winning more when you are operating that kind of way. So
yeah. I honestly, it weirds me out when people, it skeeves me out. The worst thing is when someone's rooting against someone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Little comments, little backhanded
just be
compliment.
cool.
Yeah.
Be fucking cool.
Yeah. It's cool to see your people win. I can't stress that enough.
You never root against the homies.
Yeah. So
you never root
you
against
lose
them.
nothing by wanting everyone to win, and you win nothing by wanting everyone to lose. So that's my too much sense for this week.
Bang.
Yeah. Number one podcast listeners, this has been an incredible experience. Thomas,
We
I can't
did
thank
it.
you enough. You
We
initiated
did it. Let's
this.
go.
Sycamore Studios, shout out to you guys. This has been such a cool experience. I hope you number one podcast listeners out there enjoyed this content.
If you like the visual content, let us know.
Yes.
We'll make more visual content
yeah.
for you.
We will. Number one podcast listeners, we're here for you. This podcast doesn't happen without you guys. I can't thank you enough. In person, I know I say it through your headphones, but this is my sincere thank you to you guys. It's so much fun getting to do this, and it's for you guys, and the support means everything. So if you like this content, please share it. Please keep supporting it. I sincerely appreciate it. The reason why I keep doing this. Thomas, I want to thank you. This is one of my favorite episodes of the year, doing the NFL draft preview with you.
These are always fun.
I love getting to talk ball, and NFL draft's so much fun to me. So getting to talk with someone who knows his stuff makes me feel more informed. So hopefully number one podcast listeners feel the same way. You know the drill. Like, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend. Share these videos that you're going to see, and will
comment on who you think is taller.
Yeah. Here we go. There we go. And please share these. Subscribe, leave a review. Let us know if you like these, and we'll talk to you and hopefully see you again soon. Peace.
Can we do that thing where we sit for a second now and then it fades out? Yeah. And then we roll credits, but all the credits are just your and I's name over and over again. All right, cool. It'll start to blur right now.